work. Shooting the shit for 2 hours, drinking beer and talking beer. What a wonderful experience.
Can we not have the barf bucket near my mixing board?
I think everybody could read the book.
I knew you were going to use this book as an excuse to quit doing this show.
Mrs. Bub, if you want, I can mail you the Bub Timer.
Yeah, Newcastle. Especially in the... Had it in the can?
No, I've not had it in the can.
Notice I closed my eyes and I concentrated really hard.
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to The Session. I'm your host, Justin Crosley, for today, along with, I'm excited to say, the triumphant return of one of my favorite co-hosts ever, Sean Sully O'Sullivan.
Hey!
Yeah, Sully's back with us.
It's great to be back here. I can't even believe it. I mean, it's a dream come true to come back.
Well, those of you who've been listening for a long time, of course, everybody knows Sully, but you might also know that he was my co-host on our FM radio show for a long time.
That's right, in North Beach.
Yeah.
KCBS?
Yep. We were on CBS for, 3 years or something. We did that. And anyhow, I've asked Sully to come back on the show. He's going to help out with Teresa as well from Crooked Lane. And they're kind of rotating the co-host, one of the co-host seats for us.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I miss doing it. I was thinking about the first days I was back here. I don't know if your listeners remember the Rat Pad back in Pacheco. And,
yeah.
You probably do. You're probably going through therapy for that still. But this is great. I like the way you painted this place for me. And there's balloons and
that's right,
and things in the studio here to welcome me. I feel very good.
Yeah.
Everybody hugged me when I walked in. It was really. In a decent way.
Yeah,
so,
in a nice way.
Yeah. So it's exciting to be here.
Everyone has welcomed you back with open arms.
Open arms.
And so thank you for being here. Beardy is out this week. He's in Scotland, I believe, doing some distilling training. Over there, which I imagine that he was greeted like a Viking god. Think about Beardy walking around Scotland.
Yeah, they probably said, "Here, wear this kilt if you don't have one."
Yeah, exactly.
And let's get on with it and change your accent.
He's like the second coming. I feel like. So anyhow, that's where he is. I think we're going to miss him maybe this weekend and next week. JP's just late as usual. He'll be on his way.
He's nursing the child.
He's nursing. That happens too. And anyhow, so you took Bart out here.
Yeah, I was telling you when I came in here. Well, first of all, your weather's amazing.
It's nice out here, isn't it?
It's insane.
This time of year is just right.
I got off the BART train. First of all, the train was packed, which is that. I mean, that's a normal occurrence, I assume.
At this time, yes.
Yeah, and so it's 80 degrees. It was like when I left Berkeley, it was raining.
Right.
And it's like I have this big tree, above my house, and the fog collects. I'm not going to explain to you the weather pattern, but and then it rains down on the, and you feel like it's winter. And it sucks. And then you come here and it's wonderful. I mean, but the BART train was, I have not been on a packed BART train in a long time.
It's awful. First of all, the microclimates that people talk about in the Bay Area are real. That's a real thing, which is why you can just, travel the 20 miles from Sully's house to our house and or to the studio, and it will be different. But, and I live real close to BART too.
You just don't take it?
It's awful. It's so awful.
Yeah, so this is my big complaint. And I have many. So I travel a lot in planes, so I have a whole list there. So I'm going to start building, because I'll be doing this often, I'm going to build a little BART complaint sheet. It's the backpack. The guy with the backpack on.
Right.
And it's just literally completely unaware of personal space.
I always take it off and put it in front of you.
I put it in between my legs. This guy was not. He had nothing to do with that.
No.
He was not going to do that.
And that's what I don't like about Bart. And I shouldn't complain. We're lucky to have it.
Yes.
But it's the people. I mean, the people just drive me insane.
Well, people drive you insane in general.
You're right.
So
you're right. And then
really...
when they're condensed into one little train like that, it's like it just bothers me more.
It's an aluminum tube of disturbance for you.
It really is. And you know what? I don't think that therapy is ever going to fix that for me.
It probably won't. You should just accept it and just say, this is the way it is. My therapist just says, yeah, that's the way you feel.
Right. Yeah. I like
you just
that.
roll with it. Don't fight it.
That's a good one.
But I will say it would have taken me an hour to get here.
Had you not taken the train?
Yeah. I was like, it was great. It's like a great commercial for Bart, aside from the people in the train.
Yeah.
You're just flying by cars.
Right.
So anyway, it took me 25 minutes to get here.
Well, see, that's...
And actually, I was served a meal on board as well.
If they would put a drink car on it, it might be
It'd be great to see somebody struggling with a drink car, like literally pushing along. People are getting out of the way. We're trying to play Words with Friends here. Leave me alone.
I know. Well, I'm glad you made it, and we're glad to have you back on the show. Today's show, we're also going to be speaking to our guest today, Burgeon Beer Company out of Carlsbad, California, and excited to be talking to them. Anthony and Derek are both here, co-founders, and they sent us a lot of beer, which I'm already drinking right now. Hey, JP.
Oh, hi.
Hey, JP.
JP's made it.
Hi, guys.
I'm drinking their Keller Pills in my glass already.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm excited to talk to them about. I think it's made with Nelson, and not everybody's favorite hop, but it is one of mine.
Nelson?
Yeah. I think like that's one of those hops that kind of you love it or hate it kind of things, and I've always been a fan. So we'll talk to them about that. It's already in my glass now. Second one is
so you're loving it.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And we got some IPAs from them in the Pale Ale. They brought us a Pale Ale. So we'll be talking to them. You can go to burgeonbeer.com and check it out right now if you want to learn about them before the interview. All right, let's do a couple of quick announcements. Our announcements today are brought to you today by Drake's Brewing Company. You can go to drinkdrakes.com and check it out. And Sully, have you been to their new place in Sacramento, The Barn?
The Barn, no, I have not.
So me neither. I want to take, speaking of public trans, I want to take the Amtrak from close to my house in Martinez, pop right up to Sacramento and check out The Barn. It's supposed to be amazing as a music venue, different food areas, a cocktail bar, obviously a bunch of different tap areas. So go to drinkdrakes.com and check out The Barn.
It looks great. I mean, they knock it out of the park with their... I'm actually honestly kind of envious all the time. Like, they opened another great one.
I know.
We have a very small or very large tap room.
I have the exact same feeling.
It's
and
like, as a retail owner, you're like, you're like...
And I'm like, John, he just keeps every time. He just nails it.
Yeah.
I tell him this, too. Every time I see him, I'm like, I don't know, John. You're like my mentor, and I fucking hate you or something. Like, you're so good at what you do.
Yeah, it's weird though because they're great. They take a long time to sort of to come to fruition.
Yeah.
But I think it's because they're so great. They just take like a long look at me doing the plug.
Yeah. But he is good.
They're really good at it. I mean, honestly, like all kidding aside,
they are. So go check out the new place or any of their places. They're all wonderful. Go to drinkdrakes.com. All right, a few announcements for you today. Our anniversary party, BNA 14 tickets are on sale now. You can go to thebrewingnetwork.com and just click on the BNA 14 page. That will be happening Saturday, June 29th, out in Providence, Rhode Island. All the details there are on the page that you need. The VIP tickets are going to sell out, so I would go get them soon. They sell out every year, and they sell out first, and we're about halfway there on those, so you're going to want to go get your VIP tickets. But general admission tickets will be available for a little while, but just go get them now and hang out with us. It's the closing party, the unofficial closing party of HomebrewCon. So come have some fun. Go to BrewingNetwork.com. If you want to support us in all the different ways that you can do, or maybe you already do your Amazon shopping just by clicking the Amazon link on our homepage. And that's just a great way to do your normal shopping. And you can also subscribe and join the BN Army. For as little as $2 a month, you're entered into the More Beer monthly donation giveaway. And that's where we give away $100 to spend at More Beer every single month. The more you donate, the more chances you have to win. And the longer we stay on air, by the way. So that's just a great way to do it. Just hit the donate button on our homepage. Check out all our new shows. We got tons of shows. Heads and Tails, Hop and Brew School, Shine Runner, Craft Marketing. It's all here. We got a ton of shows. All right. Get updates and other things over on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Send your feedback to feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com. We love to hear from you. So feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com. You can send your show ideas over there, too, and we're always looking for those. All right. Do we have a Twitter game today, JP?
Sure, man.
Great. Twitter game is brought to you today by 5 Star Chemicals. Sanitation is everything. So is cleanliness, and they've got everything you need over at 5 Star Chemicals. Whether you're a professional brewer or a home brewer, go to 5starchemicals.com. And while you're there, thank them for all their years of support of the Brewing Network, including the great show, Dr. Homebrew.
That's right. Thank you very much. It is a great show.
You guys just reached how many episodes? You just had an anniversary recording.
We recorded episode 145 and 146 last week. And
it
our
was
6-year anniversary.
That's what it was.
Wow.
An episode's a 6-year anniversary.
6 years.
That's great.
That's a good show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. What's our Twitter game today?
Well, I was thinking it actually chimes in pretty well with your Bart discussion, which I'm sorry to miss because I would have added a lot of vitriol to that.
Plenty of that.
But everyone has weird grooming habits, right?
Yeah.
Aaron has weird grooming habits here, the Hop Grenade, but especially the brewcasters.
Mm-hmm.
So I want the listeners to describe for us what our worst grooming habits are.
So, like, each one of us, or just pick out, like, this one has the worst one and this is it?
Yeah,
whatever.
Right. Like, JP, using his kid's Barbie comb to comb his pubes. Like, that kind of, like, weird.
Right. That would be bad.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
If I did that, which I don't do that.
Yeah.
So everybody knows my kid doesn't play with Barbies.
That's right. But imagine what we would do and tell us that.
That's right. Thank you.
All right. Very
Thank you.
good. Okay. Now let's do some feedback.
Thank you.
Feedback's brought to you today by the Beer Law Center. You can go to beerlawcenter.com and check it out. And John, oh boy, our friend John over there.
Oh boy.
He's about to earn his money. I'm about to get sued.
Are you?
Yeah, you guys will hear all about it here soon.
Whoa, what's going on? This sounds interesting.
I can't say it just yet because I got to wait and see what they're going to do. But
you just did.
I'm teasing. Can't say. I mean, I just think it's going to happen. And it's been going on. I've been negotiating back and forth with this company for like a year. And I believe we might have hit an impasse. And
it's not over how great your sign is out front. I just saw that when I walked up.
Isn't that nice?
I'm just trying to derive the conversation here, make you feel better about yourself.
Well, I'm just saying I'll keep you up to date as much as I can. I might be able to talk about what's happening by next week, but I'll say this. Our good friend John over at the Beer Law Center is doing a great work, and I trust him, and you should too. Go to beerlawcenter.com. All right. Let's do some feedback.
Can you imagine? Well, I'm going to sue you. Why? Because your sign looks great.
Yeah.
It happens. It can happen in America.
Yeah, it looks greater than mine.
It's too
and
good.
That's unfair practices in the marketplace.
I got to tell you, not to, like, again, but I mean, I usually come to this place at night. I don't see anything. And I'm also older. And, but walking up here, I was like, that is a very fancy sign.
We did, yeah. We spent some dough on that sign.
Yeah. Good job.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. If we ever go out of business, I'm just going to put it in my living room.
You could light the whole place up, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Nice, warm green hue.
Yeah. You'll sleep easy. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
To compliment how I feel.
Bright?
Green.
Oh, okay.
All right. Kyle writes in, hey, BN, I love the podcast. Just a minor ask, if possible. Yeah. It seems that the podcast is usually uploaded within a day or so to iTunes, and I was hoping you could do the same to Google Podcasts, as it doesn't seem to arrive until Thursday. Ignore this if it's on Google's end and has nothing to do with you anyway. Thank you from Kyle.
Welcome.
So I usually try to get that show posted like tonight, like the night of the show, so that you all can wake up for it. And I do a pretty good job of that. But I will say this, we publish in one place, and that place sends it to all the places. It sends it to iTunes, it sends it to Google Play, it sends it to Stitcher. So I'm not sure. It does sound like it must be on Google's end.
I think there is like a time gate for Google to refresh that from what I remember because it's relatively new service.
Yeah.
So I think that...
Right. Well, I do know this. Sometimes even on my iTunes, like to make sure that it published for you guys, I go and manually refresh it because iTunes also has its own interval, but you can just hit the button like manually update. And I don't know if Google Play has that. You might want to check that. I don't use Android, so but you could, if it has a manual refresh, try that. Otherwise, unfortunately, that one is out of my hands. I can't do much about that. So, but thanks for listening and for the feedback. Okay, Greg writes in. He's got a couple questions about BNA 14. Apparently, I royally screwed that up. He says the description in the ticket. I think it says general admission starts at 7:30, and then VIP hour is 1 hour early entry. But the ticket I just bought, VIP says entry at 5:30, and that general admission begins at 7. Okay, well the ticket is correct. So and I've updated the wording based on your feedback. I did kind of screw that up a little bit. But here was my thinking. I wanted to give you guys a full VIP hour. Like, that was the intent of the VIP hour. Yeah. But then I realized if I started entry at 6, which is the start of your hour, some of you are going to miss 15 minutes or so if we get a big line. There's going to be a couple hundred people that are in the VIP hour alone. I just wanted to make sure that we had time to get you all in so that you had a full hour to roam around and for the different entertainment that we're going to do for you. So, I've updated this on the website, so y'all don't have to remember it. But if you bought a VIP ticket, it's actually 90 minutes long. We're going to letting you in at 5:30, and that goes until 7. And then general admission begins at 7. And then it doesn't matter how long it takes GA to get in because we go until like 11 o'clock, so you'll have plenty of time. By the way, did I mention it's all you can drink for that whole time? Like,
it sounds exciting.
It's going to be a good time.
I mean, I was just, when you said 14, I was like, oh my, it's been 14 years.
I know, right? Yeah, it's been a while.
I posted an old picture of you and I think it was next door at EJ Fair, and we look like young, bucks. I mean, I have I'm a little chubbier because I was just, getting my baby fat.
Right.
And it's remarkable. I mean,
no grays,
no aging,
Yeah.
Well, there's some gray around the temple, but it's fine.
I try not to go back to those photos at all.
I was trying to find a picture of you and I together to post, and
is that the last time we posed together?
No. There was some other ones, but I mean, let's be honest, Justin. You and I have spent a lot of time together.
Yeah,
we've been fairly inebriated with each other. Of stories which you can't even talk about because I think I would be sued and I have to call your lawyer friend.
Sure, he's good though.
Yeah, he's good. And it was that was a good clean photo.
Okay,
yeah, there's a couple in there where it's a mess.
That's a good choice then.
Yeah,
I like your choice. Yeah, I don't know if you remember where BNA 1 was, by the way.
Yeah, I believe it was 21st Amendment.
Yeah, up in the mezzanine where I literally had to bring like a room. That was when computers were the size of a room.
Exactly. You had a trunk with all your radio equipment and.
Can I borrow your dolly from my floppy disk, please?
Yeah. We had somebody on the roof with an antenna, kind of aiming it in the direction.
Yeah.
John Foster was up there.
Yeah,
that was wild. That was I think Vinny came on that show maybe.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and
it was probably an 8-hour-long show.
It was a long time
to do back then.
Yeah, a long time, and there were probably there was a good handful of people there, but there's no way in the world you could do it this time.
No, gosh, no. I believe the place we're doing now has a capacity of 900 people.
Yeah, you've grown up.
I do hope that at some point the HomebrewCon comes back to California, up to the Bay Area though, so that we could do a repeat at 2NA. Like whenever that happens, I'll just go, 21st Amendment.
Oh, that would be great.
Is our site this time. So you got the space for us now.
We have a lot of space, Justin.
Yeah. Not in the mezzanine.
In San Leandro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I believe I fixed all those things, Greg. Thank you for pointing that out. And hopefully that's a little more accurate now. All right. Noah writes in, hey, what's with the new commercials for IKEA, Pampers, State Farm, Cook Industries, etc.? I listen mostly from download and noticed this about a month ago. If you sold out to a marketing company, congratulations, from Noah. We semi-sold out. I wouldn't, I mean, if I were making a lot more off of those ads, I'd say we totally sold out.
Selling out implies that we're making money.
Yeah.
Well, we've strategically partnered.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh, a little play out of the craft beer world.
Sure,
yeah. So we did move our podcast over to a very exciting and new and robust podcast delivery platform.
Take a breath.
Yeah. And what's that? That's allowing us to do a number of things that will bore you to death. But one of them is that if we have open ad spaces, which we do, they can sell into them. And those are the ads that you're hearing there. And then they keep a portion and they give us a portion. And so it's actually mostly designed to go into our back catalog, so you're going to hear a lot more of them in our back catalog. Going forward, you'll hear less and less of them in our current shows, although you will hear some here and there. So it was a way for us, again, to just try to stay afloat over here and bring in a little more cash on the podcast.
Got to make a buck.
Yeah. So hopefully y'all don't mind too much. They're 15 and 30-second ads. And like I said, they'll reduce quite a bit and just be the normal things you're used to hearing from our sponsors as we grow into the new system. So hopefully y'all don't mind. If you do, donate more.
That's right.
Easiest way to fix that, donate more.
I think we've always said that. If you don't want to hear ads,
you
just call us up. and say how much you have to spend, and we'll tell you which ad we can kill.
Yeah.
That sounds like a Twitter game.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, and then Kevin in Dixon writes in. Just a note, on the website in the events calendar under the schedule tab, I noticed that BNA 14, apparently I wrote, is the finale to HomebrewCon. He says, I think you meant finale.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure it's French, like fragile. Okay, thank you, Kevin. I also fixed that. I appreciate you.
I would have made all those mistakes, too.
Appreciate you checking up on me. I did.
Also clean your room.
I did, yeah.
Kevin.
Thank you. I did fix it. Thank you, though. All right. Michael writes in, hey, BN crew. I just got back from South Africa, and we stopped at a little brewery in Cape Town called Agir Project. I might not be saying that right.
Well, just spell it properly.
Right. Agir Project? I don't know. I sampled most of the beers, and they were really good. I had a cask wee heavy pumped with a beer engine, and I was talking to them, and they hadn't heard of juicy or hazy IPAs at all.
Your boy's going to South Africa. South Africa.
He says, so I enlightened them on the style.
Good.
And they thought it sounded pretty gross.
It is.
So then I talked to them about Brut IPAs, and the head brewer just heard about them about a month earlier.
Yeah, they're gross too.
I went on to mention pastry beers, and they seemed intrigued by those.
They're gross too. Why are you infecting these poor people? The colonialism happened, all right? Just leave it alone. Don't read. Let's go. Leave them. Let them be.
He says, I recall that the session had Cape Brewing on the show in a short segment back in 2018. I had 5 or 6 of their beers in the 4 days we were there, and they were great. The Pilsner was amazing.
Pilsner.
So he says, I just wanted to drop a line about spreading the juicy hazy trend to South Africa brewers, and I hope it never takes hold there. Well, then why did he spread it?
Right. It's like leave them alone. They're like the little Amazon tribes that they should be protected. Any brewing region that has yet to brew a Brut IPA or a pastry stout or a hoppy thing or whatever, a juicy whatever it is, just nobody can make contact with them.
Right.
They should live and evolve in their own little ecosystem because we're just going to pollute it.
You have to treat them
It's like
as
taking
Aboriginal.
It's like taking a jar of chicken pox, opening it up and go, here, this is it, and then putting it and then leaving, and hopefully nothing got out.
It's too soon.
Did you like 12 Monkeys? Because that's how we get 12 Monkeys, the movie.
All right.
There's nothing in this jar. See, it's fine.
So leave them alone. Or, JP, go to South Africa while you still can. Visit while you still can.
Yeah.
Okay. Shia from Melbourne writes in.
Melbourne.
Hey guys, I enjoyed being able to watch the session on YouTube.
Oh.
Thanks for that. Yeah, we've started. I had done it a while back, and then we stopped, and now I'm back. We're still experimenting with it, but every show has been there for the last couple weeks. He says, however, camera placement could use some improvement. We can't see Teresa at all, only the arms holding the microphone or whatever it is.
Well, she's not here.
It's totally covering her face. I'll rate the camera angle perspectives from best to worst. JP can see him clearly, and the microphone arm is not interfering at all.
Wonderful.
Justin, good, but a bit too close. And angled upwards in an awkward way.
I feel like it's the story of your life.
Yeah.
I like Justin. He's a little too close, though.
Right.
And angled.
Yeah. Angled upwards in an awkward way, and the microphone is blocking a bit. I know you need to speak right into the mics. I'm not a complete idiot, but JP manages to do it while looking very comfortable.
God damn it. I love how I got credit for what has happened so far. I love it. That's great.
Beardy, he's not centered in the image. And Teresa can't see her at all. Cheers, Shia. All right, fucking Scorsese. Listen, it's a podcast, and the video is just sort of supplementary anyway. That being said, I do appreciate any and all feedback.
Is that what these these floating things here that look like air fresheners?
Yeah.
Okay, those are the can. I didn't know. I walked in. I was like, "What the hell's going on here?"
Right.
It just went red. So am I okay? Or is this
you
thing in
got
my
two
front
of
of
them?
my
Live,
face?
buddy.
Am I live right now? Hi, people.
Two of those things.
Yeah, I had to get 2 when we went on the road last year because y'all needed one here and I needed one for events. We're talking of cameras, by the way, folks at home, of them. Okay, listen. So thank you for the feedback, and we're doing our best. It's never going to be all that great, and I'll tell you why. We're limited to the number of cameras we can actually use, unless I got a much more powerful and obtrusive computer for the part of the studio that Bevo sits in. It's a CPU power issue. So right now we're running, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different cameras, which is, if you know anything about, it's impressive. Let me just fucking say it's impressive, okay?
I think it is.
So there's that part. There's kind of like a machinery problem with it. I'd have to buy a very expensive computer, and it wouldn't fit in the office anyway. That's a whole thing. The other part is, it's just impossible to get a bunch of perfect angles. So I'll keep doing my best. If you're watching today's show, I think you'll find it's a little better. For example, when you notice that Beardy's like not centered, it's a lot like Sully is right now. That's because we have to use one camera to capture 2 guests. So 2 people. So
Should I move over?
So when our guest comes in the next segment, it will be perfectly centered on both Sully and one of our guests. And then we'll have another camera on the guest, and we have a camera on JP. Mine, I have to rotate back from my computer to the guests. It's just... So shut the fuck up, Shia. Okay? No, I'm kidding.
At least they're paying attention, Justin.
No, and I agree. And honestly, I've been working a lot on it, so I appreciate the feedback, and we're going to continue to work on it. I already know I'm going to move one of our other cameras to a different location. So thank you for the feedback, and I will keep trying to make it better, Shia. All right? Go back to film school.
Rough crowd.
Yeah.
Take the C-47s and put them on your nipples, Shia.
All right. So that's our feedback for today. Thanks to everybody who wrote in. Send your feedback to feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com, and we'll be happy to hear from you.
Yeah.
So
unless you're Shia.
All right. Let's take a little break here, and when we come back, we're going to hear from Burgeon Beer Company out of Carlsbad, California. Hang in there. You're listening to The Session.
session on the Brewing Network.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And as promised, we are talking with Burgeon Beer Company in the studio today. They came all the way up from Carlsbad, California, which, if you're on another continent, it would be about 4 countries away, if you think about it. That's how large the state of California is. Think about that. If we were in Europe, Carlsbad, we would have had to cross. You'd have gone from Paris through fucking Holland through Belgium all the way right before you ever got to Carlsbad. So I kind of
it'd be very arid too on your way down the 5 and
first of all, welcome Derek Van Loen and Anthony Tallman in the studio with us today. Sorry, I had to look back at my notes. Anthony, my bad. My brother's name's Anthony too, so that's why I remembered that one easy. But I kind of bring that up because we do have a lot of California breweries on the show, and in part that's because we like to have in-studio guests. But if we were on the East Coast and I was in Connecticut, you would be a Florida brewery. That's how big our fucking state. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like having a different region on, even though it's still California.
Well, what do you guys think? Do you guys, you're from down there. Do you think there's a big difference between the Bay Area and then Southern? Do you call it Southern California? You call it San Diego County?
Well, yeah, we don't like to be ganged up with LA by any means, but Southern California. I actually grew up with family all over Northern California, so it's always been a short hop for me to come up here 5-6 times a year on a normal basis. So for me, it feels close. It's home away from home.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I road trip a lot, so I don't mind the distance at all, even though we did fly this trip. But
we're just used to it on the West Coast too.
Yeah.
Because it is still the same state. I get that too, but I'm just saying,
it's far
distance-wise.
And once the high-speed rail's in, we'll be fine. We'll be there in half an hour.
Yeah. First of all, you won't be alive.
I will not be alive.
And I won't be far behind you, at that.
They almost made it.
Yeah. So how long has Burgeon Beer Company been in business?
We're about 2.5 years. We opened in December of 2016.
Okay. All right.
And celebrated a grand opening January of 17, and then carried on with the anniversaries each year in January.
So I think that takes a lot of balls to open a brewery 2 years ago. And not only that, and I'll get to the bottom of that, but where you are in Carlsbad, too, in the San Diego, Carlsbad area, a lot of breweries. I talked to the head of the Tom McCormick, who runs the California Craft Brewers Association. He came here a year or two ago, I guess a couple years ago now, talking about this place. And I had said to him, there was a moment I had to choose. Is the Brewing Network going to open a brewery, or would we open a tap room? And we chose tap room mostly because we interview you all the time, and we market you guys, and felt like, well, let's not compete. We'll just sell all the beer that we, the interviews we talked to. But the other one was that I was kind of terrified. I felt like I had missed the boat. I felt like there's so many breweries out there now. And Tom kind of agreed. He said, if you don't have just a killer story or a killer something, it's a hard market to make it in. So were you fearful at all about it being 2016 and you're going to be kind of another brewery on the block?
I think we kind of got to that point because the real estate game took us a lot longer than we ever anticipated. I think
find the right spot?
To find a space that worked and find a landlord that was willing to work with us. In a location we wanted to be in an area we thought would, do well for us. But I think we kind of hit that mark where it was like, okay, shit, we just really need to get a space and get this going.
Okay.
So planning started 2012, and craft beer is still picking up pretty quick then. You weren't seeing closures in San Diego, and is still on a pretty good rise, and we were confident. But by the time you get your business plan in, you get your funds all together, and get the ball rolling, the stuff built, it takes some time.
Yeah.
It really does, yeah.
We had the same, we were looking just for a second location for the Hop Grenade in California, all around Northern California. And we had the same trouble just finding a spot, like where, that a landlord would work with us, or that another either tap room or brewery wasn't opening a block away already. Like that was happening a ton. And we ended up going to Colorado to try something new. Because we just it was taking too long. Like we kind of got fed up too, and we thought, well, we got to get on with this, So, but you found a good spot that you love now.
Yeah, we found a great spot. I think we kind of shifted gears. I mean, we were initially looking at getting something a little bit more in a densely populated area, a little bit more of a retail location where it would have been a smaller brewing space, not quite the ability to grow into it as much as we can now with the building we did end up with. But yeah, we hit that mark where it was like, okay, it's been like almost a year looking for a space, and we just need to get this thing going.
Sure.
And honestly, it worked out great. We went through a few properties where the landlords just, ended up pulling our leg on something, and we kind of fell into this space because we were looking at a building on the same street, across the street in a different business park, and basically stumbled upon this place. And the property manager was on site the day we stopped in to just look at it. She knew she had a tenant leaving at the end of July in 2016, and this was April of 2016 when we came across this. So we were able to get a lease signed, which allowed us to then get all the city crap going, get the ABC permitting going. So we had a lot of time that we weren't paying rent to start taking care of, the paperwork side of things.
That's a good thing.
And it was a huge help to just allow us to get open a lot quicker, I think, and save money.
So what size brew house were you able to put in that one then?
So we have a 15-barrel brew house. We started with one 15-barrel fermenter and 3 30-barrel fermenters. And now we have 7 30s, a 15, 2 60s, 2 30 brights, and a 60 bright.
Wow.
You've grown up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Quick. A lot faster than we expected.
Quick 2 years. That's
exciting.
Yeah. It only goes two ways now. Either you're out of business or you grow faster than you ever expected. I don't think I've ever heard anything in between in the craft beer in this studio, right? That's just the way it goes. Was 15 barrel your plan, or did you just do that based on the building?
That was kind of our plan from the beginning. I think we were probably considering a 10 barrel earlier on when we were looking at, a smaller, more of a retail location space.
Yeah.
But I mean, we would have outgrown anything we were originally looking at by now, by far.
But you have a lot of flexibility with 15 barrel. You can do smaller batches.
Yeah,
you're not like filling up your big tanks.
Yeah, we knew 30 was too big.
Yeah.
A lot of major production facilities now are even on a 30, and they're producing a heck of a lot of beer.
Sure.
We didn't see ourselves getting to be a small regional brewery. Beer's kind of moved. Everyone wants hyper local. So, we kind of anticipate. Maximum about 15,000 barrels out of where we're at. So,
okay.
Yeah.
There's some kind of there's a number, whatever that may be, that's the comfort zone, I think, for us.
What if you reach that number, and you're just it's steady, and you could sell more beer if you could produce more beer? Are you against growing up farther than a hyper local? Will you say no, we're fine, it's just where we're going to stay, or would you rethink that and maybe become a larger regional?
We've kind of talked about it, and it would probably be like brew pub moves. Find a restaurant brew pub,
a few more locations.
That's a great idea.
Smaller, more R&D opportunities, but continue that neighborhood feel. Instead of trying to push stuff across the country.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's easier in some ways to do that too. You still have to find the right location.
The real estate's the hard part.
Yeah. But if you already have a name, I guess is what I'm saying, then people are like, oh, sweet, I don't have to drive 20 miles. I can now drive 5 miles to the one that's closer to me, right? You're able to split your audience then because you have enough of an audience, right? So I wish you luck with that. You have one location now?
Yeah, we do.
2 years, one location, and you're still just growing into that one, though. So right now you're not searching the market for another spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw your pictures on the internet. I mean, the bar looks amazing.
It does.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
do you guys have food trucks or...
Daily, yeah.
Yep.
Every day but Monday. Monday's a little bit of a slower crowd, but food trucks when they show up.
So
that's I know exactly
Everyone
what you
knows
mean.
how that goes. Yeah.
Is that a thing all the time, Sully, at your place too?
It was until we kind of switched our idea, but yeah, it's a pain in the ass. It's like, quick, call somebody,
Yeah.
Which never gets you anywhere.
No, you're panicking the whole time, and then you're making...
A taproom manager deals with that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
How'd you guys meet?
Yeah, there's 3 of you partners, right?
Yeah, so Matt's the third that's missing tonight. We all went to high school together.
You did? Okay.
Kind of grew up together. Derek and I homebrewed together for almost 10 years and went to Cal State San Marcos, and that was when we got serious about making beer, and I got hired at Stone and worked there for about 3.5 years, and just took in as much as I possibly could and ventured off to a couple other breweries, and then finally was at a brew pub. Basically, the 2.5 years we were kind of in the process of planning our space.
Was it always the plan for the 3 of you? In other words, is that why you took the brewing job to do this, or you just wanted to brew anyway and you'll see what happens?
I would have just wanted to brew anyways and see what happens, but I think early on him and I just got so hooked on homebrewing that we knew we were kind of destined to go down this road. So we were really close in high school and friends with Matt, but kind of like amongst the bigger group of friends type of thing. And so we all kind of went our separate ways for school or for college. And then Matt came back from Santa Barbara, and his territory for sales was where I was brewing at the time. And so we kind of like rekindled our friendship, and he calls me one day and, kind of gives me the spiel. And I had been, talked to by a few other people about getting something going, and kind of blown smoke. And
that happens.
All right, well, I'll meet you for a beer. I'll listen to what you have to say, and we'll see, see how that goes. And he was serious about it, and he had already reached out to friends and family members to see if there was an interest in, fundraising the project. And that was when I basically said, all right, I'm ready to move forward, but, Derek's involved if we're doing it. So it's kind of how that happened.
That's great. I'm glad. So I stopped taking those meetings. So word to the wise, don't do the Crosley plan. I was like, it's so fucking annoying. Like everyone's got a great idea. Everyone's got money, right? And it never goes past that. And I'm like, I would take them all the time. Oh, sounds great. And at first, I'd get a little excited, like in the early years. After a while, I was always just like, yeah, well, you know where to find me. Never.
I remember Nico and I like showing up at a meeting it was like a pitch session with some guy who was like a .com guy early on, and I was like. And we were like totally hungover. It was at the point right now where we didn't even it was just, all right, here's another one. But yeah, you're right. You have to ask 1,000 people to get one person to respond. Right. And every time it comes time to write the check, everybody gets like, I got to talk to my wife. I got to talk to my partner.
Tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
We want to buy a sofa. We can't do this.
Right. So, but you know what? Don't get too frustrated too quickly. So good job. You ended up where you are now, a couple of years later. So Anthony, you brew. Why don't you tell us about the beer that's in our glass right now?
Yeah, so Clever Kiwi is the first beer we're sipping on. There's no fruit in this beer because that name tends to confuse a lot of people, unfortunately.
Sure, yeah.
The kiwi reference is purely because there's Nelson Sauvin hops in it. So it's we make two Pilsners. One of them's more traditional German-style Pilsner. We use the same yeast strain on both. This beer is a Keller Pils, so we don't biofine it, which we do on a lot of our clear West Coast beers.
Okay.
And then after the lagering phase, we do a small, about a half pound per barrel dry hop of Nelson on this beer.
Wow.
Just to kind of give it a nice twist from our traditional German Pils.
Yeah.
And we're only on like the second or third batch of it, and it's doing really well. So
it's nice. What yeast are you using?
We use Augustiner.
Mm-hmm.
It's just got a really nice clean profile to it. It's a pretty easy yeast strain to work with. We're looking into hopefully expanding our lager program and maybe doing a little bit more of a hoppy lineup with that yeast strain because it seems to do well with the dry hop like on this beer.
It's really nice. It's really crisp. It's got great hop aroma, and it's got some nice hop finish there in the flavor. So it's lights out.
Thank you.
Yeah,
very drinkable.
We've used a handful.
Lights out.
Yeah, we've used a handful of different lager yeast, and this one by far is the cleanest from our techniques and what we've been able to produce.
Okay.
And
you do like a traditional lager? Like are we talking 6 weeks or something
here?
Here?
It's almost 7-week beer.
Yeah, it's a 7-week beer, but at least 4 weeks.
It's about a 2-week primary. Then we take about a week to kind of slowly step the temp down. And then we'll hold it at 40 degrees for almost 4 weeks.
Nice.
And that last week, fully drop it down.
Okay. I was just talking to a brewer who does a lot of contract brewing, and he likes, traditional styles. And he was like, yeah, man, a lot of these breweries are coming in, and they're like, yeah, no, our lager, 2 weeks, it'll be good, 2 weeks.
I literally had someone text me today, and he's like, I used to turn it in 21 days. I'm like, hey,
good for you.
Have fun.
Yeah.
You used to make bad lager.
What's it taste like at 21 days?
Yeah, and I kind of noticed we peaked with the warm lagers, and I think everyone's kind of realizing that it didn't. You could rush a beer out, sure, but it didn't make it.
I'm not enjoying the sulfur here.
Right. Yeah,
right.
Please move along.
So I appreciate that. There's a lean towards more traditional lagers now in the craft sphere.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that from everybody.
Well, and of course we refer to it here like as the Tasty method. Tasty would talk about it a lot with homebrewers being able to shorten it. And I will say this: I think that some methods that would produce at least a decent and sometimes very good lager in a short term got lagers into craft beer drinkers' hands, and whereas they couldn't before because no one could afford to do it or wanted to spend the time to do it. So that kind of shortened method, I feel like a gateway drug, right? Like it got some lagers into craft breweries' hands. And now, though, like JP's saying, I like that many of you are going back to now we can take a little time on this.
Yeah.
Well, they're actual lagers. I mean, that was
you
part
can
of the thing,
it.
right? Like they weren't producing lagers at all.
It's a commitment, though. I mean, you tie up a tank that long where you kind of turn and burn it.
Sure, and some can't afford to do it still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, like I said, doing two which are constantly, both are in tanks, it's been a little bit of a struggle for us because we also didn't really know how this beer was going to do, and it's done really well, which is great.
That is great.
But just the scheduling and production side of committing to 2 full-time Pilsners it's been a little daunting.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, look, if you don't have the tank space, everybody knows the formula on how to make money in craft beer. You steal IP, and you make a hazy beer with it. And that's what you do.
It works.
Yes.
Every time.
Can the beer 2 days after ferment, and you're done.
Have you had experience with this, sir?
Yes.
Have you seen this somewhere?
I
don't know what you're talking about.
multiple Twitter accounts that talk about this.
Yes.
Maybe you're fans of them.
Maybe you're fans of them. Maybe you have heard about them.
I think one of the reasons that this beer is doing well for you is the choice of Nelson. And I bet it's night and day from your other pills. You're using
very much
hops, right?
so.
And I was saying to Sully before the show, because I was already drinking it, I really liked it. I feel like Nelson's like a love it or hate it hop. And not everyone, I talk about it, I like it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of rare that someone answers me back. Yeah, me too. That's my jam. I love Nelson.
Are you using it with any other hop, or is it straight Nelson?
The Kettle and Whirlpool edition has some German Saphir, which we also do use in our other Pilsner. And then the Whirlpool gets a little bit of Nelson and then dry hop strictly Nelson.
Nice.
So, yeah, we were just fortunate to get a nice New Zealand contract. I was just down there in April for hop selection, which was such a fun trip. And, you know, honestly, one of the big inspirations for this beer was not only, you know, for us growing up drinking Alpine Nelson, but we loved Shift, that New Belgium used to brew.
Oh, yeah, I remember that beer.
It was a Nelson Pale Lager, and when that beer came out, him and I were like, holy shit.
Yeah.
How is this not caught on? No one's doing this. And it was just something to do with the interplaying of the Nelson and the lager strain that they were using that we just loved about it. So
yeah,
that was kind of where the idea came from for this beer.
It was probably a decade ahead of its time. You know?
Right, yeah.
A 4-pack of pints.
Because it's gone now,
yeah,
too,
it's gone.
right?
They don't
Yeah.
make it anymore. A
I think
4-pack of pints,
they
Nelson Lager,
stopped
10 years
making it
ago.
several years ago.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Ahead of their time. I remember drinking that, and it was like, I was like, oh, okay. I do like New Belgian beer too. I love all their sour beer. I love everything that they do in the barrel room, and I've liked a few of their regulars. But yeah, that one too. Same. In fact, I think we had it. We were in the Martinez studio back then, and I would buy that on the regular if we didn't have in studio guests who were bringing us free beer. I was bringing a shift in for a good period of time.
Great looking can too, by the way.
Yep, that's right. Good, yes.
Can guy over here just
can guy.
Check the box.
Wait, you guys just got a canning line recently too.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
September.
Dive into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's an investment, also.
Big investment.
Damn.
It's a wonderful machine. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we mobile canned
for about a year and a half.
Yeah. So we started mobile canning in May of 2017. I think was the first run, and we were doing about.
We got up to twice a month towards the end.
Twice a month, and that was where it was like, all right,
running the numbers. It's like, this is the
time to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did the last August, September was Cellar 2 expansion. It was like 1,300 square feet. We did the whole expansion ourselves. That's where we built out for all the 60s that we're eventually going to put in the canning line. Pretty much a small packaging hall. So
okay. When you say you did the expansion yourself, we talking about like pouring pads for?
It, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this guy did rebar, trench drains. One of our investors owns a concrete company, so he was there to assist with the pour day.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I mean, this
everything
guy.
but the
you have a background in?
Yeah, my dad's a general contractor.
Okay.
So I worked for him for a while.
How's that water draining?
Great.
better than the one we paid someone to do.
Better than the first seller that we paid someone to do. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, as a partner in the business, you can't fuck that up.
No,
you'll never live that down, right?
No.
Every time there's a puddle, Anthony's like, Derek,
get the squeegee. Get the squeegee.
Get the squeegee. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty anal about that kind of stuff. It's got to be right.
Okay.
And, actually there's a ton of space. It's a great space to work in. It's way better than the first seller.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that the amount you saved on being able to do that is a good down payment on a canning line.
Yeah.
Like you might not
Or
have been
bought a
able
couple
to
big
afford
tanks.
to do both.
Right,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
good idea.
Yeah. Okay. So, and Sully, you're gonna do canning line speak. Like they must come in so many different sizes. Like I know Sully's is massive.
Yeah,
right?
but who made yours?
We got it from PSA.
Good talk, Sully.
Yeah.
That's good.
Show me yours. I know what mine looks like. Okay, this is getting really weird. We just met each other. Okay, everybody just settle down in the room.
Sully just dropped his canning line on the table like a log.
Sully, do canning like speak. Oh, who made yours? Perfect. That's the insight an experience.
Well, what do you want to?
He's
What do you
just
want to
warming
say?
up. He's just getting back in the groove.
I'm interested in their story. I know my. You know my. I don't want to talk about my shit.
Tell us about.
I'm
your
excited
canning
about their canning line, for Christ's sake.
We went with the company out of Ohio, Pneumatic Scale Angeles. They've been in the seaming industry for probably about 100 years. They're known for their seamers. They make all the seamers for the big boys, Crohn's, KHS.
Okay.
Seemingly everybody.
Seemingly the big. They're in Coca-Cola, Budweiser. They're doing 2,400 cans a minute, stuff like that.
Damn.
Way over the top. They finally got in the craft game, so they've got a line called CB. So they have a CB50 and a CB100. It's 6-head filler, gravity filler. We run about 40 cans a minute. Our DOs are fantastic.
That's good.
We're getting
for not being counter pressure.
Yeah, for not being counter pressure. We're anywhere from 15 to 20 in the tank, and we're packaging anywhere from 35 to 50. So we're picking up maybe 20.
Wow.
It's good, and it's
for our folks at home, what's a low industry standard, like 50 to 60 or something?
We shoot for below 50.
Yeah, that's ideal.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, you got a wonderful line. You can package below 15.
Okay,
but it's
and we're talking parts per million
per billion
of oxygen.
Yeah,
okay.
Oxygen. Yeah. Supposedly, you're not able to taste anything under 150, is what Anton Parr says. But we don't want to be that high.
Sure.
And lucky for us, we're not putting our beer out for long shelf life. A lot of stuff consumed within a couple weeks.
Okay.
And we also have contracts with all our retailers that has to be stored cold, so it helps it even more.
Sure.
But
that's the place where
you passed
DO...
the test. We checked your fridge.
Yeah.
You did? Everything cold.
It's the temp too.
That's like the Vinny Chillerzo method. It's like you can't. Nope.
Can't buy it.
Yeah, I mean, that and we're big Beechwood fans.
When we started doing it, they go, "Oh, that's the Beechwood thing." I go, "Oh, okay, I didn't know that." But sure,
we'll claim that.
Yeah, with Russian River, they actually have to truck it in themselves to the cold box.
Like, we make our drivers and delivery guys do it too.
You pull everybody else's shit out of the way.
You don't leave it out.
Even seeing us do it is not okay. Like they have to do it, and then we just take it out. No, I'm kidding.
Put it next to the furnace. They're gone.
No, we would never. But the shelf life is where the DO is really a problem, right? If you have high numbers, because the oxidation just happens over time and temp.
Yeah.
So the time is shortened with higher temps, right? Okay. So these 50, 60, well, if you're below 50 and you're moving through beer in a couple weeks, nobody cares, right?
Exactly. Well,
okay.
It shouldn't be noticeable.
It shouldn't be noticeable.
Fast
You shouldn't be able
at
to tell.
DO.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you notice it with the mobile canner without naming their name?
Well, we never tested it.
We weren't canning so much that it was a problem that it was sitting around, but we also didn't have the ability to check it.
Okay.
So every now and then we'd run some cans over to Pizza Port. Their production facility is about 2 miles east of us.
But if they didn't run them immediately, it's an inaccurate run. Number. So if we took them over, say, we get it to tomorrow, took over the next day, it was always between 20 and 30. That's a false read.
Yeah.
You never know.
Got to do it immediately.
It had to be done.
You got to be right off the line.
Calculate the headspace.
I mean, now that you brought up the mobile canner, that was, aside from the financial side of things and us getting to the point where we were able to commit to the line, it was also the pulling out your fucking hair when you're watching the fifth canning operator lead show up that you've never met before, and you're going, what is going on here?
Plus, they're really popular. They're great for small craft brewers, but you have to schedule them way out, from what I understand.
Yeah.
I mean,
about a month, and then either beer's been in the tank too long or it's not ready all the way.
Right.
And it's a dance the whole time, and we were getting tired of it.
Yeah, you're really controlling your own destiny that way.
Yeah, so it sounds like it wasn't even like a quality problem with them. It was just cost, and then that it's a pain in the ass.
Scheduling, timing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, most they do provide a good service, and they can package beer at absolutely perfectly fine for what is intended.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to build a brand and be consistent, you really need to do it yourself.
So when you guys make expansions like this and all the tank space that you added, are you able to do this with your own cash flow, or do you kind of got to go back to the bank? What are you guys doing here?
We fortunately have not gone to a bank for any money.
Okay.
The expansion, the line, the tanks, and everything's been paid outright.
All four. Yeah.
That's great. So you just wait until you can afford the next expansion,
Correct.
basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
You haven't lost your hair.
Money. That's what it is.
Right.
Drug
Beer's
money.
a drug.
They're close to the border.
Yeah, we're called Escobar Brewing.
Yeah.
And everything's done in cash only.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we got one more beer in our glass before the break. It's a pale ale. Tell us about this beer.
So this is a West Coast pale ale, even though there is a slight haze to it, JP.
But see that sideways glance he just did to you, like a little like
I was telling Derek before the show. I go, we're not doing any hazy beers because I know that we're not. We're gonna go into that conversation if we do.
Yeah,
we do make them, but so this is a West Coast Pale. We use the same yeast strain we use on any of our West Coast IPAs. We just dose the biofine at a lesser rate on this beer. Really light grain bill. It's a mix of 2-row and Pilsner. And it is strictly Simcoe in the Whirlpool, and then it's a dry hop of Simcoe and Citra.
Okay. So the haze, even though it has some haze to it, there's nothing New England about this beer.
Nothing.
It doesn't have any of that mouth feel you weren't going for any of that. It's
no. Tried to keep the grain bill really light. Just focus on the hops. It's really more of a small IPA. Him and I personally love to have pale ales in our rotation. We're big pale ale drinkers.
Thank you for that.
What's the weight on the dry hop? Simcoe, is there more Simcoe?
It's 50-50.
There's more Simcoe overall. Yeah. But the dry hop is actually Citra heavy. Now that I think about it, it's about 2/3 Citra to 1/3 Simcoe. About a 2 pound per barrel dry hop on this one. We think that a lot of the haze on any of our beers really is polyphenol driven. So it's when we recirc our dry hops, which really, promotes that. We're actually looking at using a different kettle fining agent that'll hopefully strip out more of that on the back end, something that Pete Support's recommended to us. So,
okay,
we have beers that we fully intend to be completely clear, and we kind of fight that with the way what our dry hopping process.
So you're spinning your tanks? Is that what you said?
We do, yes.
Yeah. For what? For the biofine, or for just to get more hop?
Both, actually.
Oh wow. Okay.
So we add the biofine when we add the hops. We just run CO2 through the spray ball. We'll open up the top, getting it in real quick. We'll burst the tank at the end of the day we added the hops, and then the next day we would come in, burst the tank again, run, depending on the tank size, 30 minutes to 2 hours of a recirc, and then chill the tank at the end of the day. So it's 24 hours.
Have you ever, well, since you're chilling it so quickly, but have you ever seen like any sort of hop creep or any sort of like re-fermentation?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's...
We have too.
Yeah. We have...
It's like everybody's like coming clean now. Have you had that problem too? Because I've had that problem.
Did an intentional experiment and dry hopped a West Coast beer at 70 degrees, and it was the most foul smelling thing I've ever smelled.
For days.
It took us a week to get this thing to clean up to where we were comfortable packaging it or chilling the tank to move it along. So we dry hop a lot of our beers at 50, which has eliminated, knock on wood, that problem for us.
That's a good idea.
We're trying to run more experiments and see if we can get that temperature a little bit warmer for the dry hop. But yeah, I got to the point where I was losing fucking sleep.
Yeah, it'll happen. It'll keep happening, by the way. Pat from Alpine actually was visiting our brewery, and he gave me the idea of spinning tanks, and so we did that, and we put out this double IPA called Blah Blah Blah, and it stayed in the tank for like 30. It was just an IPA. It's like for 38 days. It would not. It started re-fermenting, and the diacetyl kicked up. We measured it was too high, and we had a going away party for this beer. We literally had a cake for it and all this, and so it was a good idea, but I think with larger tanks, there's probably a little bit of a challenge with that. It was just, I love Pat, but he
didn't
steered me wrong there.
Well, let me ask you this though. So if your fix for that is, well, we're just going to dry hop cooler than 50, so it never really has the chance to re-ferment. Don't you run the risk then, though, of it doing it on the shelf later? So if the beer ever warms up before I drink it, at any point from the time it leaves your building to the time even if I'm the asshole who does that to it, right?
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, there's a lot of diacetyl in Burgeon's beer. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Could it come back when it warms up?
I think there's the potential for it, but I think, we do a pretty diligent job of making sure without filtering, we're getting as much of the yeast out as we possibly can. But, clearly because we have experienced hop creep in a tank, there's still some level of residual yeast in the beer.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it do that yet, though.
We haven't seen it do that in our cans, but that's also part of the, storing it cold, aside from, just that's the proper way to treat beer.
Yeah. No, and I'm saying, this isn't your fault, but the consumer doesn't, some consumer who doesn't know shit about hop creep, which, by the way, is everybody, is just going to, I'm just asking if it's possible. Because I like what you're doing. Okay, now we don't have to keep it in a tank for an extra 2 weeks, right?
Right.
I just would hate for it to come back. I'm just curious if that's a thing.
I definitely think it's a possibility, and we have heard of that happening to other breweries and canned beer specifically. But, fortunately, we haven't experienced it.
So
it's also time and crash time. I feel like once you do crash it all the way, I mean, you don't need to rush to either carbonate it or transfer it.
Mm-hmm.
Just get everything to drop out as much as possible.
Okay.
You have a far better chance of not having it happen. But.
Okay. So with this beer, with this pale ale in particular, you're talking about doing a different fining method so that it's even clearer. But from a sales perspective, if the haze isn't affecting the flavor, right, it's not turning it into a New England, I think it tastes great just like it is. Do you think you'd be shooting yourself in the foot a little bit from a marketing perspective if you made this super clear? Like, even though it's not a milky, hazy beer, at least someone goes, oh, that one's hazy, I'll take it.
I would say that that fining agent that I was referring to, I wouldn't necessarily emphasize trialing that on this beer because we aren't as concerned with getting this to be really bright.
Okay, yeah.
But we do make a couple other core beers. One of the beers we'll get to eventually, Trivana, is our core West Coast, and that's more so the beer that I would want to trial that.
Got it. Okay. All right. This beer's great. A lot of not just the normal Citra notes, but pineapple. And that was like the first note that I got really strong. Yeah, it's very tropical.
Yeah, it is tropical. It's got a little stone fruit in there, too. Mm-hmm. It's really nice. It's
yeah. I like
got
it.
nice bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
It's crushable.
It's very crushable.
How we try and make them. Yeah.
It's a good malt sweetness, too. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the hazy part. I don't know if you know that.
Oh,
JP,
fuck, I hate it.
Like,
God damn it. You know what I want is a brute version of this. Fucking vomit.
Well, we've got more beer to try, which I'm excited about. And also, I want to learn about some of the environmental efforts that you guys are doing because, I've had a lot of breweries come in here and say, well, we're kind of into this and we kind of do that. But they're always a little vague. And in reading through my show notes, you guys are very much committed to the environmental programs. And in fact, you've raised quite a lot of money and planted quite a lot of trees. So when we come back, we're going to talk about some of that with Burgeon, and we're going to try more of their beer. So hang in there. It's The Session. We'll be right back.
saw some holy people walk out, preaching on the lawns and the gardens to the faithful. Some life was playing on a big stage, strumming on the right chords for a good mood. Down in the canyon, all through the night, 10,000 lives I've lived singing side by side. Why won't you let me break your heart and see the light of day drifting through the dark? And I know that everything's falling off. Maybe it's better to cope instead of fighting it. Why won't you let me break your heart and see the light of day drifting through the dark? I sipped my hurricane and waited for my thoughts to turn vicious. I kept quite calm and clever, but you got up to dance without me. Down in the canyon, all through the night, 10,000 lives I've lived singing side by side. Why won't you let me break your heart and see the light of day drifting through the dark? And I know that everything's falling off. Maybe it's better to cope instead of fighting it. Why won't you let me break your heart and see the light of day drifting through the dark? And the people started to leave, so I kissed your blushing cheek. Let's keep it good and simple. Let's keep it good and simple. Let's keep it good and simple. Let's keep it good and
Hey, this is Gabriel from Half Acre in Chicago. You're listening to The Session on the Brewing Network.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today. And we are still talking with Burgeon Beer Company out of Carlsbad, California. You can go to burgeonbeer.com. That's burgeonbeer.com and check it out. They got a great website. You can even see photos of the fellas. Or you can watch them on YouTube. If you're listening to this podcast and you want to see what's happening in the studio, just go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Brewing Network, and all of our shows are showing up there now. Great camera work and all. So
it is great.
Yeah.
Where did the name come from? Did we ask that question?
No, it's a good question.
No, but I would like to point out that we appreciate you pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, we've gotten quite
Yeah.
a few
Burgeon,
variations.
Burgeon,
Bergeron,
Virgin. We get a lot of virgin. Yeah.
Well, it's derived from burgeoning, like if you were a burgeoning brewery, right?
Yep.
Okay, so tell us about that. What does that mean to you?
We actually struggled with a name for quite some time, and until we signed the lease, we didn't go to register our trademark because we didn't have an address to send it to. So it was a whole process of a last-minute name choice. We actually, on paper, are Abstract Ale Works, LLC, according to the state of California.
Interesting.
Yeah. But there is a winery in Napa that makes a wine called Abstract. So our trademark lawyer said, if that's what you guys want to go with, I'm not going to help you out. You're on your own.
He said, "Is ain't going to happen."
She goes, "You got no chance." Yeah, they've been using it. They've already got a trademark. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
So we went back to the drawing board. We were trying to find a name that expressed who we are and what we wanted to do and where we came from. So local boys wanted to build a business and grow with it, and Burgeon was a word that surprisingly hasn't been used in the brewing industry at all.
Yeah.
Whether it be a beer name or anything, was wide open, and it was kind of cool. It's creative, somewhat artistic, something a little more sophisticated, A lot of people assume it was somebody's last name, just because that's a lot of default brewery names.
Yeah, like 21st Amendment.
Yeah.
Sean 21.
That was my middle name growing up.
Yeah.
That's where we landed. Yeah.
So what was the problem? I was interested in, because it's maddening to come up with a name. Were you just looking through the dictionary? Were you just sitting up drinking beers and throwing out names? And what was the process?
Yeah, it was a lot of emails and text messages back and forth for probably months until you look up things that you're trying to display yourself as or express yourself. Synonyms are just a huge thing. We use that for a lot of beer names. What can we get to express this without using that word exactly? And it was just one morning. I tried to text Anthony and Matt in a group, and I ended up texting like 4 other people in another group message. And I type that, and then somebody responds with the actual definition. I'm going, exactly.
Right,
Perfect.
Right.
And I had to send it to him, but yeah.
So to me, this is one of those names that if I were your partner, if I were on that group text, I would have ignored you. I'd have been like, but because I'm just trying to think of it on its own. It's no good to me on its own, and that's how you think about those in the beginning, because you almost don't even have you have no background yet, right?
Right.
But now, like, I read your story, I read through your notes, I read about the programs that you're involved in, and it's a great name. So I would have been that partner that fucked up and said no to that name. I think it's a fitting name for you guys
well,
now.
you couldn't just do the name without having it with everything that we've done.
Some context.
You got to have it fully encompassed in what it is, and it really backs the name up, and that's what
but you probably get like name numbed. You're like over and over. You're like, that sucks, and even like it'd be a good name, and you're like, you're just like, I don't know anymore. I mean,
yeah. They're very
mind.
difficult. There are some names that are just great names on their own.
Like Hop Grenade.
Like, yeah. Like whether it be a band or a brewery, like it doesn't matter. It's just a cool name, right?
Yeah.
There are others that have to have context. There are others that are so complicated that they're awful until they grow on you. I mean, and then I think what Sully is saying too, you do just get fatigue after a minute. Yeah. Every name sounds
and especially
like
right now, you touched upon it. It was like there's so many craft breweries, so many beer names. You're like, you'd Google search, you're like, crap, there's a brewery in like North Carolina that's using us or something like that.
Or there's like 14. You come up with a beer name, you think you're a genius.
Right.
And, there's already 14 of them. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Well, let's talk about the first beer in our glass, the Trivana IPA, and then I think we can, lead into some of the environmental programs you guys are doing too. But tell us about this IPA.
Yeah, so Trivana has, on its own, kind of taken that flagship role for us. It's by far our best-selling beer, taproom or distribution. It was, what drove us and allowed us to get that first 60-barrel tank in the door. That tank's been dedicated to that beer and only that beer. Lighter malt bill, we use raw Arturo for most of the bases on our beers, especially the hoppy stuff. Has about 2% of like a C10 crystal in there, so there is a little bit of crystal malt. We're pretty big fans of Weyermann's Carafoam for nice foam stability and head retention.
Okay.
And then it's 50-50 ratio of Mosaic and Amarillo in the Whirlpool.
Mm-hmm.
And then the dry hop is about 75-25 Mosaic to Amarillo.
Okay. That's a great IPA.
Wasn't the first IPA we brewed, and I don't even know why we made this beer, honestly, at this point. But
you got to make something up.
I mean, it's a straight West Coast IPA. I would guess you were just you love a West Coast IPA, and you were like, give me some of your favorite West Coast IPAs, for example.
Well, and so I love Beechwood Amalgamator, and
Great
really when we package this fresh, I try to find as fresh as possible a can of Amalgamator because I think it's the closest thing to it. So it's kind of nice to do a little bit of a side by side. When we brewed with them recently, they brought some cans up of it, and they were both canned within like 2 or 3 days of each other. So it was kind of fun to sit down and have that experience.
That's I'm glad you mentioned that one because that's one of the only IPAs I'll still drink instead of. I mean, I drink IPAs, but if there's a pale ale on, I always order that. Or if there's an amalgamator, I might have that one. And this one I would too, for the same reason. It has it's a firm bitterness in a West Coast IPA, but it's so well rounded that it just doesn't beat me up. It's kind of like a super hoppy pale ale at the same time,
And that's how we've almost designed all of our IPAs. we don't do any bittering. Only kettle hops for the most part are all Whirlpool. And they're cooler Whirlpool temps for West Coast beers. So it's all about just getting the oils and the flavor. You know, the bitterness is it's nice to have a little bit for balance, but you know when it takes over the beer and it just coats the tongue, it's just not what we've ever wanted.
It's there.
It's there.
And it has to be there.
It has to be there.
Yeah.
Otherwise it would be sweet. It has to be there.
And in fact, so I always feel dumb about how late I am to learn things, but when we just did a show with Russian River, and Vinny kind of called me on it. He called me on it off air actually when I and other people say like I like my IPAs but I don't like bitterness. And Vinny's like, bullshit. We actually do like bitterness. You like bitterness. The people who say they don't like bitterness. And if they like an IPA, they like bitterness. They like a firm bitterness. There is bitterness there. There are IBUs there.
Yeah.
The difference is all of the other things you're talking about. All of the flavor and the aroma and all of that, it's just helping and it's backed up by bitterness. But me and others have started to claim, well, no, it's just the flavor and aroma that I like. And that's just not true. If it were only that and no bitterness, this beer would be shit. It just wouldn't be right. So anyhow, I just I was like, thank you, Vinny. I'm still learning these things. You're right. I like bitterness. I should stop telling people I don't like bitterness because it's not true.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned the pale ale thing. So this beer has never done well for us in an American IPA category in a competition.
Interesting.
And it's because it doesn't have the more firm bitterness push that they're looking for when they judge those beers.
Okay.
So for the first time ever, I put it in the American Strong Pale category at the LA International, and we got it gold. So
nice.
There you go. I very much believe that it is more in the realm of that type of a beer than.
Does anybody market an American Strong Pale Ale? Are those just competition categories only?
The only places that we ever drank them at was Pizza Port because I mean. Till the day I die, that'll be one of my favorite breweries, and that's what, a lot of our influence came from. But you can go to their brew pubs, and you'll actually see American Strong Pales on their lineup.
Really?
Interesting. They don't package anything out of the main facility that's branded as that.
Yeah.
But you can still go to all the brew pubs, and some of them are making what they're calling American Strong Pale Ales.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
I think the Amalgamator has an even more pronounced bitterness, and maybe that does well in the West Coast IPA category because of it.
Yeah, they still do a true bittering edition,
Okay.
Yeah, this has a bitterness to it, but it also has a really pronounced hop flavor. It's almost like spicy, which I think it's sort of like seems like it would be. It tastes a little bit bitter because of the spiciness.
Yeah, a little peppery, spicy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm switching to that after this one. After I still got to finish my Sauvin lager.
You like that one, don't you?
I do. I like it, but that's my third one of those. And I always do this. This is what I do all the time. If the beers from the brewery are good, so listeners always ask how they can know if the beers of our guests are good. This is not a way that listeners
We're
can
on
tell.
the air, by the way.
This is a way that guests can tell. So if you're a guest who's going to come on the show, I will always try beers before you guys ever get here. And if they're on tap, because we can't open all the cans. But I will always try them. And if I stick with that, if I open the show with one of your beers, I'm like in. I love your beers. And then I'm always just waiting for what my second one to switch to is, and that's my second one to switch to. If your beers are just decent, I'm like drinking, Heretic or 2-1A or something when you come on the show. I wait to drink your beers. So it's not that they're bad. It's just
that's
like they're not ones that I want to crush. That's all. They're never bad. All the breweries that come on the show are very good, but
that's true.
It's whether or not I want to crush them. And your beers are
oh shit, dude. We
crushable.
are very SoCal this show.
Crushables.
Southwest Airlines.
Ride the crush wave. Let's go, dude. Crush it all up into a fucking ball and throw it out the window at a passing truck.
Now you're trying too hard. Now you just stepped over the line.
Well, that really trailed off.
Yeah, 3 5s and 7s.
Yeah. It wouldn't be me if I didn't get some anger in there.
Well, speaking of Californians, why don't we talk about some environmentalism that you guys do? That beer is called Trivana, by the way, and I don't know if that has something to do with any of the programs you're in, but why don't you tell us about what you guys do for that?
We're a big fan of one called Fuck the Earth. And we just don't care about it.
Right.
And that's what we do.
Obviously, environmental.
We raised a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to respond. He's like, wow, we just went there. And back to the environment.
Yeah.
So we've put together a corporate partnership this year with the National Forest Foundation.
Oh, wow.
So a beer that we did not bring is...
there's cans of it.
There is cans.
Oh,
yes.
nice.
Yeah.
Not on draft, though.
Not on draft.
Okay.
It's a beer called Reclaim the Wild. For every pint brewed, we donate $1 back to the National Forest Foundation. We were looking for something this year that could allow us to really express, our ideas and how we feel about stuff, but also, generate traction with our followers and get people to feel good about not only buying beer but give back to something else as well.
Okay.
So,
yeah, it's a good cause.
Yeah. For us, it's definitely not a profitable move. It's we're lucky to break even on it.
Yeah.
But it really helps people feel engaged and be a part of something greater than just purchasing beer.
Sure. So what does the $1 a pint do?
Plants a tree. So every dollar gets a dollar of every pint gets donated back to National Forest, and every dollar plants a tree in our National Forest. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So at the end of the year, they're going to give us
add something real quick.
Yeah.
So Matt was kind of the one that took the lead on this, and one thing that we really wanted us and him to emphasize when creating this partnership was, we wanted as much of it to go back into force in California as we could.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first 5,000 trees were going to get planted up near Paradise because of the campfire.
Wow, nice.
So we were, pretty strong on that, and we want to see them do as much as they can in our area as well.
Yeah.
But when we were creating this partnership, that had just happened, so it seemed, pretty much like a no-brainer decision to focus on that first.
That's a great idea.
foremost.
You don't want to be like, hey, can we have these down here? I mean, we really don't need them right now.
Exactly.
But
Yeah. And they're like, we really need it up here.
No.
But it's nice that you have some say in that, too. We did the same. Our beer festival here is for a local organization, but the local organization does a lot of things. And one of the things it does is help with children's music programs and music in the park right here in front of us. So I was like, if you're going to be our beneficiary, I want every dollar that the Beer Fest gives you to go to music and kids and music in the park. And it was nice for us to be able to have a direct connection like that, rather than sort of a faceless donation, right?
Absolutely.
We were looking for the same thing, but there was really nothing established in the greater San Diego area with that much power to do that. I was looking into. I'll go, Matt, let's do urban tree planting. I mean, there's plenty of areas in San Diego that look like crap that could use trees in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But nothing was established, and for us to actually build that and get an organization or start an organization just was a little daunting for the first time around. So
I bet.
We'll maybe get there, but this was a smart move for us for this year.
It's a noble effort.
And a great place to start. You said, you'll get there. It's not a miracle to begin with, but you have a goal as well for how much you want to raise within the first year of this program, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we committed to producing this beer for a year, and we pledged to donate $25,000.
Wow. That's a fuckload of trees.
We just sent our first donation in, and we were almost to 7,000.
Got it.
Wow.
And then what's really cool is, we have a lot of great relationships with great bars and restaurants in our area, and we had a lot of people run events and then match the donation. And it just went right, came to us and then went right back to
That's great.
the National Forest Foundation. So.
It's really good. Every time you guys write that donation check, you're just eating McDonald's that night, right?
That's a lot of money for a small business.
To celebrate.
I'm impressed.
Well,
it's an awful lot.
And I think...
But it comes back to you in other ways. I mean, it speaks to your mandate for your company and all that. So it's not like you're just throwing it in the air. So,
Although that'd be fun, too.
Make it rain.
Throw it in the air, dude.
We, for the first 2 years, we were hit up for donations left and right, as every other brewery is, and that's kind of, part of it. And, we were always willing to do something, but we just felt like there was a lot of donations we made that didn't really go to a cause we felt strong about. And just like Derek said, it's, pairing up with the National Forest Foundation was, we're all big outdoors people. We go camping and hiking, we surf, and it was just it was a better way for us to donate than some of the local stuff that was we were committing to in San Diego.
Because that's overwhelming. I mean, you're feeling that all the time. You can just say, "This is what we do."
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which is why a lot of like larger breweries have just learned, you have to funnel that stuff. You fill out an application, like there's a whole. It's gone
difficult,
and it should be that way. Gone are the days of, hey, I'm putting on a festival for charity, give me beer. I mean, it's just not really like that anymore. And not only because you breweries are getting asked that left and right, but because you care about what is this cause you're doing it for? Just because it's a beer fest doesn't mean it's good.
Right.
Like, what is the cause? Where's my beer going? So,
you guys do a lot of festivals?
Yeah. I mean,
we do,
San
but that's
Diego,
another thing.
Yeah,
that
San Diego is a ton in general.
We've learned we probably overcommitted early on, but it was also partially just to help get our name and brand awareness out there, and I don't think we regret doing it at the time, but now it's like, okay, let's pump the brakes. We don't have to commit 100% to every single thing that we get an email about.
I'm just kind of curious if there's like festival fatigue. I mean, I've been doing it, as you can see, for a long time by the hair and lack of it.
You've been to a festival today.
Yeah. So is it, is it still going strong? Is there still like a festival weekend and you're just kind of cranking it out and it's like...
There is. We try and take turns and give employees opportunities to if they want to work it or they want to go and spread it out. It helps everybody. But I mean we're in festival season from here.
Let's be real. I just pick the
months.
ones I want to go to.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm the same way. I was going to say that out loud.
Handful. I mean it's still one a month. Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot to go to. Well, and I just want to bring it back again real quick because I think what Sully said is true too. It's that's a lot of money for a small business as well, and it's hard to do to find that. Like you said, you're lucky to break even on the beer, and so I'm sure you feel fortunate enough that your business is doing well enough that you can do something like that. But charities or those asking should also understand that they're fortunate, you're fortunate enough to do that. It's hard to do. We would like to do more in a lot of ways as well with our Hop Grenade locations, and we got to pick and choose because everyone's like, oh, why don't you come just give $2 a pint or $1 a pint? And we're like, wait, so like on Monday night, do you want like $1 a pint? And I even tell them too, I'm like, well, because it's going to be $40. Like, well, how about I just give you the $40 right now? And you like it doesn't like, can we just do that? And so I just think hopefully, charitable organizations will learn as well that it should be curated like the way you guys do it, and really planned out and be thoughtful for it to be successful for both parties.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I'm starting a charity.
Yeah,
starting a charitable event.
The JP. Charity, what is it?
Yeah. Well, it's a way for people to plant a tree as so for example, for like if you have a kid, right? I'm not going to use my kid because it's weird, but if you have a child, then you plant a tree. You send me money and go, this tree is for Don Henley's child, whatever, I don't know. And then
alive?
And then you can't touch that tree, but when your kid dies, then they harvest that tree for the kid's coffin. Right, so you're planting your own tree, and then nobody can touch
the material.
It's reserved. So like when I die, then whoever is in charge of doing the thing for me, maybe my wife, who knows, she'll have the tree cut down and harvested and made into my coffin.
Sure.
So it'll be this whole circle of life thing.
So
it's full circle.
You're gonna have a farm for this, aren't you?
The marketing is going to be good. It's the Coffins for Kids Plant a Tree Foundation.
Well, it's I guess it would be like
Coffins for
I'll
Kids.
send over 4 kegs right now.
Well, I mean, it could be for kids. That's the problem. If you have like a high child mortality rate, then you're having little saplings, and that's not going to cover it. And then, then you have to.
But I mean, no. Eventually, they get it. I just think that's a catchy name. I'm trying to help you with your marketing.
It's
going to force you to take care of your kids so the tree actually grows large for the coffin.
Right, and you go, and every year you make a pilgrimage to the
Oh my
tree
gosh.
farm.
This is the
You
worst
water it,
idea I've ever
sit
heard
with
in my
it.
life.
One day this will encompass you, or it could be like.
I'm checking the website for you right now. Checking the URL.
These guys are writing it down right now. They're got their notepads out. They're scrolling away.
I got a lot of ideas.
You got to give JP $1 a pint.
Derek called a lawyer.
Coffins for Kids is available.
Oh fuck, dude!
The URL.
I have to buy it right now. It
because
might be
who
like
on earth would ever fucking buy that?
right.
But go on.
It might be like wombs.
Excuse me?
Like your final wombs.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Entombment, but tomb is spelled womb. Entombment.
Okay.
Because you think about it, like it's.
I don't want to think about it.
Okay.
Turn his microphone off.
Yeah.
Well, look, man. You know what? Shit on my ideas, but I'll tell you what. I know where I'm going to be eventually. Encased in loving pine.
Somebody
is this JP going through a teething baby at home right now? Is that what's going on here? You're like delirious.
Also, like I feel like it's besides it being a terrible idea, harvesting a tree and then having that tree turned into a coffin.
Yeah,
sounds
nice.
incredibly expensive.
No, we're gonna get a good bulk rate. You know how many people die every day in this fucking country?
It sounds like the Handmaid's Tale. It's like, it's an HBO show. Like we have the ceremony. We go. I like the fact these guys are so quiet right now. We do not know how to respond.
They are cringing.
Yeah.
This is worse than Roger's ass.
Impossible. Well, okay, before we move on to our next beer, though, is there a website or somewhere that people can go to learn more about your organization, or should they just keep buying the beer?
Just keep buying the beer.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's the beer name again for this one?
Reclaim the Wild.
Reclaim the Wild, okay. And that's an IPA that you guys do? Yeah.
Oh, see, it could be
Excellent.
Reclaim the Child. That could be my thing, because you're the earth is reclaiming you.
True.
Encased in a womb of pine. Fresh pine.
I think this is going somewhere for you. Somewhere.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Definitely.
I mean, if you're looking for donations, let us know.
Yeah. Well, we're doing a beer fest, oddly enough.
Yeah, you don't even have to go through their filtration process for this. Oh my God, the loneliest beer fest ever.
Just me.
Hi, I'm here. I'm here to donate to the Pines for Children thing. I just got out of jail.
Right.
I'm technically not allowed to be here, but it's for a good cause. So
I'm on a
I
list
don't
in
mind.
52 states. Okay, all right. Over here. We're pouring it right here.
I'm crying a little bit.
52 states.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
These aren't happy tears either.
Okay.
All right. Tell us about the Interlock IPA, which is what's in our glass now, right?
Yeah, so Interlock was a collaboration beer we did with Beechwood.
Oh, yeah.
Again, one of the breweries we definitely look up to and love their beers. And so West Coast IPA, little double dry hop, up to the dry hop rate on this beer. Pretty simple grain bill, 2-row, and a little bit of wheat. We brewed it at our facility as well as at the Beechwood Pub in Long Beach. The cool thing was kept the recipes the same, and it was just a matter of seeing, how similar or how different the beer came out based on a slight difference in processes, and let alone malt and different hop lots and all that stuff. Strata, Mosaic, Simcoe Cryo, I believe, in this beer. We haven't got our hands on a lot of Strata, but it's definitely a hop that's been on our radar, and we've had a few boxes to mess around with, and we have a contract for the future. But it's got a really cool, tropical kind of skunky weed thing going on. Mosaic, I think, is kind of enhancing that with a little bit of the dank, fruity thing that Mosaic has.
It's nice.
7%, a little bit more bitterness than Trivana.
Yeah.
A little bit more in the Beechwood realm.
Did you brew with Julian?
Julian was there on the brew day, hung out for a bit, but it was more so with Gene.
Julian just descended in a cloud and came by, blessed the beer, and
playing
then he
a
left.
guitar
Played
riff.
a guitar at the top of Mount Baldy, spinning around with a camera.
Yeah.
I'm with you guys. I love Julian.
I don't know if it's JP's influence on the last diatribe, but pine as well.
Oh, weird.
In this beer.
And foreboding death.
A lot of really nice pine. Earthy Mosaic, not just fruity Mosaic, which is good.
You know what I've noticed
tropical.
Across all these beers is that your base malt flavors are on the sweet side in a good way, not like an unfermented or wordy way, right? But everything's dry. But there is like a sweeter malt thing that I really think helps with that perceived bitterness that we're all talking about. I mean, it's the late edition or whatever, but there is that little tweak of sweet that makes it drinkable. It's not completely bone dry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wonder if some of that sweetness is from the hops as well. I know it sounds silly, but if you're putting a shitload of hops in, right, you get that kind of vegetal matter that is not coming across as vegetal, thank God, otherwise we'd be criticizing the beer. But I don't know. I wonder if sometimes hops are adding a sweet character too. Because your malt bill sounds pretty simple. You are using a little crystal, you said, but
this beer did not.
Not even on this one. Yeah.
Trivana had a little bit. This was just 2-row and maybe 4% white wheat.
So yeah, you see what I'm saying? I don't know that it's coming from the malt. Do you think you're getting sweetness from the amount of hops you're using?
I think so, and I think it may have something to do with a heavy focus on our Whirlpool editions.
Okay.
And maybe being at that slightly lower temperature to really absorb and retain those oils from the hops that we're choosing.
So you mentioned sweetness. We had a short conversation about re-fermentation and hop creep, but hops do have fermentables in it. So there's possibly there's a splash of sweetness to it.
Yeah.
I mean it's very minimal, but and in high volumes could be possible.
Right.
You also have a little bit of astringency on the top of your tongue, and it's not offensive. I think it adds to that spiciness I was talking about earlier.
They're all so well fermented.
Yeah, they're super clean.
Yeah, whatever you guys
know what you're doing.
Whatever's happening with hop creep with you guys, it's not happening. Don't worry about it.
Is there a beer out there called Hop Creep?
There must be.
It's probably like 150.
And we're talking about this so much on the BN right now because we're doing this new hop show too, and we did a whole topic on hop creep with the guys from Yakima Chief, and so I had just learned about it on that show, right? And so then we're getting all these follow-up questions on that, and then it keeps coming up on this show, so we keep talking about it. And in fact, so I just want to visit for a second. You're talking about hops having fermentables, okay? And I still keep going back and forth on this because I'm just learning. And our last guest from Ghost Town was kind of saying the same thing. But my understanding is more so that the hops have enzymes that are breaking down the sugars from your malt even further. And that's the real hop creep problem. That there are, I think because I went back and asked again, I was like, wait, are there fermentables or not? And I guess the answer is yes, there are fermentables in hops too, but it's far less than the enzymatic activity that's happening from them and breaking down sugars further that the yeast didn't, or that the enzymes from the mash didn't do.
Yes.
Am I on the right track there?
Yeah, they're cleaving those those remaining sugar chains that are still left, like you said, that the yeast was unable to consume.
Right, they didn't ferment the first time. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. But then, so because of this last show too, I was like, well, what about, are there fermentables too? And is that some of the sugar? And I guess the answer is yes, but it's so unknown that we don't know how much.
Right. Yeah.
Like we don't know how to gauge how many fermentables are in, are we how much sugar are we really adding from hops? Like we can't even calculate this at all. You guys just have to figure it out.
We don't have the lab equipment to do so. But,
I think even for the hop industry, it's such a new. There's been so much of a focus on it lately, and it's still so new for them that you're going to have so many variances from where the hop was grown, farm or lot or crop year, and I just think it's been to some extent untraceable for them up to now.
And
now everybody's really using a lot of hops.
Yeah. Until exactly. It's been around forever. We just didn't use this many fucking hops before.
No, we weren't doing that. I mean, what you could do is you could and you probably have done this already, is store the can warm, kind of force it, and then see if you get a drop in gravity and your alcohol goes up and maybe even more carbonation. The classic things that happen with hop creep that when you see it in a can.
Yeah.
But you don't have to worry about that because you're selling your beer in 2 weeks.
Right. Well, that's another great IPA. You guys are making good IPAs. Both that was pretty.
They're solid. They're really good. I like them.
Pretty damn clear, by the way, too. If you look at those, so no filtration for you guys, just finings for all your beers.
Correct.
Okay. Including the lager.
Yes.
Lagers.
The other lager we make is a super bright beer, and I think a lot of that's not just because of lagering and biofining it, but it's not dry hop, so it does,
Oh yeah.
Kiwi has a little bit of that polyphenol haze,
and it's not fined.
But it's Keller pills, so that's all right.
Correct.
That is not fined. Yeah.
Would you ever buy a filter? Plate and frame?
No.
DE? No interest in that.
Centrifuge, but
No
that's
interest.
a large investment.
Yeah, centrifuge would be considered. But
Yeah.
Why not? Why that and not the others?
So my perception, really from when I worked at Stone, we centrifuged and ran a DE filter, and as a filter centrifuge operator, you're sampling the beer at so many points throughout the process of making it. I really felt that it was more detrimental to the aroma of the beer. It has its benefits in terms of creating more shelf-stable beer. So it kind of just depends on which route you're going with your brewery and
what kind of beer it is.
What kind of beer it is, and I felt that the benefit of not using the filter outweighed the benefit of using it.
Sure. And if finings are working so well anyway, then fuck it.
Right.
It's a lot cheaper anyway, isn't it?
Drastically.
But a centrifuge maybe someday. Someday maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You guys have a gigantic centrifuge.
We have a centrifuge. We don't have a filter.
You don't?
Yeah, we don't filter our beer.
You never did you?
No.
Yeah. So he went from the brew pub and then finings.
No, actually we did. We had a little we had a little 2-meter horizontal leaf PE filter, and actually bought it from Rich Norgrove back in the day.
Okay,
like 30 years ago.
Bear Republic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the mill and the 2-roller Rosscamp mill.
Nice.
It's still there.
Well, gentlemen, I am not going to throw you out because we got another segment to do if you want to hang out. But I do want to thank you for being here, for driving all the way, or flying
I think you
all
brought
the way
cans
up
down
from Carlsbad. Yeah, I was thinking that too. We can try another beer.
Absolutely.
But I want to thank you for sharing all this beer with us. It's been it's also good. It's on tap here at the Hop Grenade and probably will be for the next week or so. I expect this stuff's going to go pretty quick. So come on down to the Hop Grenade in Concord, California, if you want to try their beer, or go to Burgeon.
Come on, buddy.
Go to burgeonbeer.com, burgeonbeer.com, however you want to spell it. You'll find it over there. And you can find their places to find your beer there. Yeah? Like you list where you can find it around Carlsbad, maybe?
No, we actually don't, now that you bring that up.
You don't just
come to the brewery?
That can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Do you...
And it's ever changing.
You're donating money, one or the other.
You do distribute, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
You do?
We
Okay,
do,
so it's not just in the tap room, yeah?
No.
Okay. And outside of California at all?
Just Arizona.
Yeah,
Okay.
select.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Phoenix area mostly.
All right.
Spots in Phoenix.
All right, go check them out at burgeonbeer.com. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll try some more of your beer. We'll go grab some of those cans. And we got to do our Twitter game. And maybe we'll find out what's up in Sully's beer world, too. Hang in there. It's The Session. We'll be right back.
It's You're the reason I'm always in your mind. All the night. You're mine. All the night. And Lord, I know you. Lord, I know you. Lord, I know you. Lord, I know you never again.
Hello, this is David Walker from the Firestone Walker Brewing Company. You are listening to The Session on the Brewing Network.
All right, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We're still with the boys from Burgeon Beer Company out of Carlsbad, California. Go to burgeonbeer.com and check them out. We thought we'd get one more beer of theirs in our glass before we have to go today. And this is the beer that you guys are raising money with, right?
Absolutely.
Is that right? We got the can there, the Reclaim the Wild IPA. And good-looking can, too. Good-looking logo, by the way. I like the glass with the roots. It's very nice.
Ties back into the name. That was
some good, yeah, some good branding.
Like Carol Merrill right now.
I'm going to have to sue for my Reclaim the World.
Yeah. That obviously
idea.
wasn't the logo when it was Abstract.
That was not it. Absolutely not.
That would be a shitty logo, by the way. Abstract Brewing's logo, just think about it. It'd be nothing.
It was
Fucking
pretty
paint-
generic.
Yeah, paint splattered
Pretty
against the
bland,
can.
yeah.
What's the name?
Yeah.
I can't read it.
So good move all around, really. Think about it. Well, tell us about this beer. Let's just do that before we got to get some other business done.
Yeah, so I think the initial idea for the beer was, to try to resemble what we were attempting to accomplish with the beer and capture that in its flavor. So almost tried to make you feel as if you were in a forest drinking this beer.
Yeah.
So it's got some Citra in it, so it still has a little bit of that new age tropical twist to it. But Chinook and Cascade tried to get that little bit of pine, floral flavor and aroma into it as well.
Nice.
Pretty straightforward grain bill. I think it's literally just 2-row and carafoam. Kept it light and simple, easy drinker, and something that you'd want to take with you on a hike or camping.
It's a great IPA.
It's nice.
Now, so JP and Sully are both right in their comments. I'm picking them up now. JP, house flavor, kind of that house, malt backbone,
character, yeah.
Or slight sweetness, and then it's not too sweet because of just a little astringency. Just on the tip, right? Just on the tip of your tongue to kind of...
It's a little rough, but it's not when you say rough, you're like, oh, God. It's nice. It's a nice little, almost like a palate cleanser.
To cut through some of the hops. Because there's a lot of hops in all of your IPAs. I mean, you guys you're hoppy motherfuckers. In a good way. Yeah. That's a nice beer.
That's good beer.
You're going to plant a lot of trees with that beer.
Kept the alcohol a little bit lower on this one. Trevanis 7.2. The Interlock beer we had was 7. This one's 6.5.
Okay.
So... again, almost kind of falls into that strong pale thing that we're going.
Do you do anything low ABV?
Low ABV?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Clever Kiwi was 5. The German Pils we do is 5.2. We have a year-round brown ale that we do that's 4.7. We got a silver medal for Grisette last year at GABF. That's
Congratulations.
4.2, 4.4.
Nice.
We would do a whole lot more beers.
Yeah.
Right.
But
you got to make money.
Yeah, sales. Everybody wants something over 5. It's all my beers would be under 5.
Yep.
How does the brown ale do?
It does
pretty
great,
good.
actually.
It's a beer we've had on since the beginning, and it's always been on.
What do you call it?
Burl.
Do you call it Burl Brown Ale?
Yeah, we sell it as a nut brown ale. We use Cal Ale on it, so it's not too English influenced. The malt base of it is, but the fermentation profile, we try to get it to finish a little bit higher, so it leaves a little bit more of that residual sweetness and body into the beer. But there's just not a lot of brown ales down by us. It seemed like it was a style that kind of died for a bit, and AleSmith was really the only one that hung on to it, and that's a big inspiration for ours.
I think the name brown, can be kind of dangerous. because like I always have this rule of thumb: brown, mild, and bitter. You don't want those in beer names. I made a beer called Bitter American, by the way, but
which did very well.
Did well
right?
for when it was out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just I have this feeling like the people have a reaction to it. So if it's a brown ale, like you don't really you're calling it. What was it again?
Not brown.
No, but it's burl.
Oh, burl.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great name.
Which is like the redwood tree burl.
The wood.
Burl and wood.
I wanted to taste like Burl Lives, or I'm fucking dumping it.
Yeah, even that not a good connotation. But the redwood burl is nice. Yeah.
Christmas is so much better now.
Yeah.
That you said that.
Thank you.
I think also maybe you you brew a bunch of good beer, so I'm sure the brown is good. But even on your own lineup, there's probably like, lager, IPA, pale ale, brown ale. So it like stands out on the menu for somebody like me or somebody else who's looking for something different. And then maybe even what you said, if there's just not a lot of the other breweries around you, it'll work for you. Does that make sense? Like it's almost like that one thing where enough people want something different that it sells for you.
Yes.
It's not going to be everybody who walks in there's favorite beer, but a bunch
It'll
of
move slow, probably slower than the other ones. I'd imagine.
Yeah, we don't produce anywhere near as much as other beers, but
we
it's
probably
stable
do
enough to
a 15-barrel batch of
every
every
other
other month.
Yeah, so it's not much, but a lot of it stays in house.
Is that the darkest beer you brew?
No. We have a porter on right now, a nitro and a CO2 version. We do some Imperial Stouts.
Oh wow!
So
we got a lot of
we tried. That was one thing we really from the beginning wanted to keep a focus on was we knew we were going to sell a ton of IPAs or hoppy beers, but the variety of our lineup was something that at least for him and I we wanted to really stay true to. To some degree, regardless of sales, which clearly you can't completely write that off.
Sure.
But, we try to do a good job of keeping it diverse because we do have those customers that come in. Like we have plenty of people that come in and they literally will only touch the brown ale
or dark beer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's your darkest beer, Sully?
Well, we just killed one.
The bitter.
The Back in Black. Yeah, the that was that was a black IPA, and we were still brewing that, even though that style kind of like died off.
Right.
I love that beer though. It's kind of funny beer because it was like really like big in like Atlanta and upstate New York. It was like being big in Tokyo, Japan, or something like that.
Yeah.
I like that beer. We still get like emails from people going like, "What the fuck happened on that beer?"
Right.
Like, well, you didn't drink enough of it.
Cool ass can on that one too.
Also, don't curse at me in my own email. This is a Christian server. Please don't do that.
So what's left then? What's your darkest one now?
I would probably have to say, we have Toaster Pastry, which is an Imperial Red, double
beer.
red, and nothing really dark. I think we're going to put an Imperial Stout out. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about that next year. Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sue you. And you're probably not going to sue you.
That's why I was interested in Imperial Stout when you mentioned that. I like that style a lot. It's like, I like stouts a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
I like brown ales too. I mean, like I find myself, like gravitating towards sort of maltier beers, like more balanced beers.
All this stuff's just going to come back. I mean, for those of you who are going to stick around, you'll end up making all these beers again. Guaranteed, right? There's no way that it doesn't just keep cycling through what's popular.
I mean, I talked to a bar owner actually in Rockridge, and he said that hazy IPAs are really popular still, but you're also seeing like a little bit of a tick down towards West Coast style, clear, IPAs with a little bit more bitterness.
Back to it.
Back to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
It'll come back.
Right? Good.
As much as I don't drink IPAs.
I was going to say,
good.
what do you mean good? That's not even a tick. You complained about that one before you complained about the hazy one.
I did. But you know what? Look, the enemy of my enemy is my enemy.
Is that how it goes? Yeah.
I think so. Something like that.
You like brown ales, though.
I love brown ales, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love brown ales, love porters, love stouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like the Newcastle brewed at Lagunitas?
No, I hated it.
Really?
What didn't you like about it?
It tasted like blood. It tasted like blood dripped over like Crystal 80 malt. It was not good.
So like that iron taste?
Yeah. It was not
metallic. Yeah,
it was
metallic,
bad, dude. Yeah, it was so bad. It was so bad.
So do you think we should just get Jeremy on to ask about this? But do you think that they were trying to
convince you to like
replicate Newcastle or do their own?
No, it was their own. But I think I don't know if I had to guess, which apparently I do. They think that Newcastle it's on the lighter end, so it's a little watery, and maybe they don't do lighter beers very well, like lower ABV. So they just didn't provide enough mouthfeel or more enough body. They don't want it too malty because Newcastle really isn't that malty, right? It's kind of
it's like brown water. I mean, it's always been like lower carb and thin.
Yeah. But it's like
all the things we like about it.
Yeah, it's like they wrote a recipe for like Crystal 20 and Crystal 40, but they put Crystal 80 and Crystal 120 in there, and then someone cut their hand off, and they go, "Well, fuck it, it's fine."
There's a lot of body references today.
Yeah. Although I also just like
I like my body.
You know how judges, you're judging. Sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, you should have done this. You should have." JP can has this whole imaginary thing that happened with like a limb falling in the kettle,
and he bled it out.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah.
I haven't had it yet.
I haven't either.
I mean, I imagine that beer was probably not doing great. It's an old beer, and then decided let's pop it up a bit.
I think so too. I think that they weren't.
And they got a whole new label
trying
design
to make the same one. I think they were like, "Oh, let's make one that will sell here."
Yeah,
or
for
something.
sure. It's a different recipe.
and they probably couldn't even make the same beer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
You guys do anything with water, by the way? I was trying to ask that.
It's got to be the water with Newcastle.
We brew with it.
No, but do you guys do anything with your water? Do you adjust it all?
Nothing crazy.
Okay, you just got that good
big ass filter we got.
Just a carbon.
You're not
filter?
adding any salts or anything like that.
Filter.
Okay, well.
We do a little bit of calcium chloride in
Hazy
the
beers.
hazy beers.
Your water's pretty hard down there. It has high minerality, doesn't it?
It doesn't.
Yeah,
but it really also
helps the IPA.
Varies pretty drastically even within the county.
Oh wow!
It seems like we just did a beer with a brewery further down in San Diego by the airport, and his water seemed a lot harder than ours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting, and it's really hard because they change the source.
Yeah,
that's
so
what
many
I was
times throughout the year. So
your water does change throughout the year.
Yeah. I think there's 3 sources for us specifically.
So I would think that would make you want to RO that shit.
We considered it when we were going through the planning stages of everything, but it was cost and there's a lot of waste.
It is. These guys are saving the earth.
You dump as much water as you use.
Yeah, it's like 2 to 1.
I
or
didn't
something.
realize that.
Yeah.
So
come on, Justin.
To actually go through the process. Yeah.
If we chose,
I thought it just stripped shit out. And a
lot of water goes down the drain.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay.
We can expand on the filtration system we have now, and it would need to be incorporated into an RO system anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So we have options, but it really is just a waste.
Okay.
It's pretty crazy.
Why has nobody ever said that to me? Interesting.
And we also
Maybe I
kind of
should just
wanted
know.
to just start brewing beer and see how it came out and decide if we felt it was that necessary.
So is that a thing? I mean, the same recipe IPA now and 4 months from now, are you tasting and going, well, that's different?
It's not
they
that
changed the
drastic.
water. It's really not that.
No,
okay.
no.
All right.
And being IPA focused, I think our water profile is pretty good.
Okay.
If we were going to be a lager house, we probably would have.
No, it's perfect for what you're doing.
Yeah, we would have changed probably on RO if we were going to be producing all lagers. But
okay. Well, don't change anything. The beer's fucking good. Twitter game.
Twitter game.
What was our Twitter game today?
Our Twitter game today was everyone has weird grooming habits, even the brewcasters. Describe some of our worst ones.
See what you guys walked into here.
I hope Sully landed on this week's
well,
Twitter
God,
game. First week back.
Welcome back, and it's like.
I was hoping that, and he didn't, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, which is
thank you, people.
Yeah.
I mean, some people don't even know who I am, probably.
I don't know. Everyone knows who you are.
I don't know about that. These guys did, and they walked in. Who's the old guy in the corner there?
Father Time is here to say, you better hurry up.
That's right.
Get off my lawn. Go plant a tree that I can put my kid in one day. Sorry, Ryan. I didn't mean to say that.
Coffins for
Pine
kids.
womb. I'm still working on it. Catfish Hunter 78 says, Beardy has to clean food, sticks, grass, rice hulls, etc. out of his beard once a week.
Okay.
That's pretty gross.
Yeah.
That is funny. If you've ever been out with Warren and he does get food in his beard and he doesn't know about it, and part of me just doesn't tell him in time.
You don't want to tell
because I think it's
you
funny.
want to watch to see what happens.
Oh no,
that's part of the fun.
100% same. There have been times where he's eating and there's something, it's a chunk in his beard, and I'm just talking to him, but I'm not making eye contact because he can't tell, and I'm just staring at his beard, and it's.
He's like,
that's what you get for having a beard.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's like the classic old man, eating a can of beans or something by himself, and just.
There's a burrito in your beard, sir.
It's just so
So
bad.
I can't do it I can't really watch people eat.
Yeah.
It goes back to like my germophobia, which I've mostly gotten over.
Yeah, you were molested by a sandwich.
But one thing that could have happened, one thing that still bothers me is just if I see food on people's face in any way, I start gagging. So
gagging.
Not only
Just
can I
food.
not like look, but I really can't look. So I have to be like, Beardy, go to the bathroom, like something. Like I can't
Get
even
away
look
from me.
or I'll start to throw up.
Wow.
Just by seeing.
You don't tell them that there's food there. That's my big thing. If I just met you, I say you got something in your teeth or your mouth or something like that. So.
Oh yeah, I'll do that, but not with Warren.
Warren, you
because
want
he
to see
likes
it
it.
like
It's funny.
Oh yeah, no. With other people, I would be kind, but with Warren,
with Warren, you're like fuck you.
I mean, it's not like we're not out in public, or we're not. It's not for like hours.
meeting the president.
But
We're
like,
not out, but
you
we're
sit
actually
there,
totally out in public.
Yeah, but you sit there and you just look at it, and you go, "Oh man, this fucking idiot." and every once in a while, he'll sit and comb it with his fingers, and and you go,
See, I
you
would
give
do
it like
that
30
if I
seconds.
could, but I just can't. I'll throw up. Okay, go on.
Anyway, the Rev says Beardy actually uses hop oil in his beard to keep that golden glow, which I don't really know if that's disgusting or not.
No, that's you didn't ask for a disgusting one.
Sounds
You
like a
just
tip.
asked for weird ones or something, didn't you?
One of our worst grooming habits. But
Worst.
I mean, yeah,
okay.
I don't know. Whatever. We'll
Hop
keep it.
oil would that'd be bad.
Okay.
It's not like it's beard oil.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But it's oil. Crisco. Anyway, Pete, our good friend Pete DeDink, says Justin's ponytail.
Just that.
Yeah, that's your worst grooming habit.
I agree.
Okay.
I totally agree,
All
actually.
right.
But I'm too lazy.
That's true. And then last but not least, Matt Cadmus says JP's regular Just for Men application on his mustache and soul patch, Justin's nose trimming for low camera angle, and Beardy's beard in general.
Callback.
Okay.
I also am really thankful that I was excluded from these. Thanks, guys.
I have a list that was sent to me
the one that was
personally.
deleted.
Yeah, right, exactly.
What was that after my low camera angle?
Beardy's beard in general.
Okay, Beardy's beard, right. That was easy to remember.
Beverly doesn't grind her bunions down enough. Or I don't know.
You're
man.
just submitting this now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Also, Bev, it's like, I also agree. That is
Yeah,
my
well-
worst. Where's that?
Well, Scott has informed me that his least favorite part of my body is my feet.
Oh, my God. First of all.
So thank you for telling me what part of my body you don't like, you prick.
Also,
And
like,
you have a list.
yeah, where is his list?
Exactly.
Number one. Number two, who gives a fuck what you think? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's
sorry,
a thing.
that one bothers me. Like, I would never.
It really does, too.
First of all, would he ever go to a man and say, "Listen, JP, I don't know if you know this, but my least favorite part of your body is," of course he would.
It's your entire body.
So, but chauvinistic, don't you think?
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally. You'd be called out on that.
Yeah.
Bev too.
Yeah. So Scott too.
And that's it. Those are your choices, man.
All right. So Beardy's got shit in his beard.
Yep.
Hop oil in Beardy's beard.
Yep.
Justin's ponytail.
All right.
Or the last one kind of covers three of us. Just for Men in JP's beard.
Mustache and soul patch,
Mustache and soul patch.
apparently, yeah, but I don't know.
Low camera angle and Justin's nose hairs and anything having to do with Beardy's beard. Well, my two favorites are shit caught in Beardy's beard and Justin's ponytail because I totally agree. It's my worst grooming habit.
Yeah, same.
It's when I'm lazy.
Agreed.
Okay, Justin's ponytail win?
I think so.
Yep, there we go.
All right.
I was
that's
going
our
to
winner
say,
today.
I was going to
job,
say
bud.
Beardy's beard. You know, the stuff in his beard because we talked about it for half an hour.
That was,
Just from like sheer volume of the conversation.
I know, but if I keep thinking about it, I'll throw up.
Actually, that's why I'm going to keep talking about it.
Pretty gross.
That's gross. Beardy's off in Scotland right now.
He is.
Doing distilling, some distilling learning.
And he was told implicitly to not have any fun because he's there without his wife.
Oh.
He texted me.
He had texted me as well. I'm sure.
He's
thinking
texting me too.
I'm thinking
Right now?
So he's lonely. I think he's getting a lot of attention out there with that thing.
Wait, he's texting you right now. Yeah, what's the time?
8 hours, 9 8
Well,
hours?
8
not,
hours.
not right now.
No, not right now.
4 a.m.
He's only sent me one text because we're not really like buddies.
What was his text?
No, it was a photo of a tap handle, I guess, like a badge. They have those little round badges, and it's a 5% IPA from Loch Ness Brewery.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the Imperial is probably 5.5, and I just wrote, "God damn!" Like that.
Yeah.
You
were born in the wrong place.
I was born in the wrong place.
Wrong
I thought you were going to
time
say
as well.
he walked into a place called the Hop Grenade in Scotland. And like Justin's going to throw up.
Lose my shit
Yeah.
again.
And now he's part owner in it.
I asked him how the weather was, and he said it's 65 pretty much all the time. And I said, "Oh, so you're living your best life?" And he said, "I'm never leaving."
It's
yeah.
probably too hot.
That's
for him
even warm
there.
for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's probably walking around with no shirt on.
That's true.
He's just wearing his beard shirt.
Digging out peat. That's his new job. Hauling peat.
Sounds awful.
You have to do this for a week. It's part of the process.
You can't
That's
leave.
how you
actually.
learn.
Yeah, like in Malaysia, they say like you can't, or the new program is you can't graduate unless you plant 10 trees. You can't leave Scotland until you've hauled 10 tons of peat.
Yeah, it's a rule.
Yeah.
You can't get back through customs if they don't smell it on you.
That's true.
He strategically or accidentally had a layover in Amsterdam.
Oh, weird.
On his way there.
Yeah.
And I had told him, I was like, listen, you got to go to the red light district.
Yeah.
And really just to walk through.
Get your little
like
dick
he's a
sucked.
married guy,
Yeah.
just like just to walk through. Like it's
Sure.
it's interesting. So he goes walking through, picture beard. He was fucking beard like nobody's ever seen before on that continent, probably.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh man, I got some attention in the red light district. He's like, at some point I just really had to sprint out of there. I had to leave. It was
He's like
really
the
bad.
Mr. Beard,
He's
come
like,
here.
Yeah.
Ooh la la! Ooh, how much for a beard man?
Well, he didn't even say if
Spanish.
it was good attention or not. It could have been dudes.
Yeah.
It could have been females. I do not know. But
I won't touch your beard.
But I just could
Oi.
picture it. I was like, yeah, he's like, even here in the U.S., people have never seen anything like that. He gets a lot of attention. Imagine over there.
I wouldn't want just like a gaggle of prostitutes running their fingers through my beard because that's what happens
I'd be
here.
down with that.
Hey, what's wrong with that? What's he talking
I'm
about
totally
right now?
down
His
with that.
mouth's
No,
moving,
man,
the words are
'cause
coming
you
out.
don't
I
know where
understand what he's saying.
those hands have been. Like, I'm not trying to get other people's,
They were just trying to get the food out.
yeah.
It's a service.
That's what he's telling his wife when he gets home. They were just getting the food out.
It's a tradition here in Amsterdam.
That's right.
Yeah, you're welcome.
100
Not like your asshole friends back home.
Yeah.
Just leave it there.
Some places give you the key to the city. Others let 100 prostitutes run their fingers through your body hair.
sounds
Then
like
you're
heaven.
welcome.
I love this.
Oh, man. Well, you should grow your beard out.
We're on a plane. Let's go.
Yeah, Sully and I are in.
I'll do the video.
All right.
Anyway,
Well,
that's all I got for everybody.
congratulations to our winner
Thank you.
of today's Twitter
Not
game.
me.
All right, next week on the show, I don't know whether to just spell this name or it's
Rip.
okay. But why does it have two I's?
I don't know.
You guys, it's down by you. Isn't it down south?
Yeah. We just brewed a beer with them.
Yep.
Before,
So how do you say it?
Couple weeks
Before
ago.
Beechwood. It's Rip.
2 months ago.
Well, why is it that? Why is it RIIP?
Why is it
We
that?
never asked.
I don't think we got an answer for that.
It's like
yeah.
it's like
Maybe
pointing out
so
food
it's
in a
not
beard. You can't
rest
do
in
that.
peace. Maybe so they don't make that association.
Because I will sue them
Yeah,
for my.
JP already has it.
I guess we'll get to the bottom of it next week. But that's who we've got on tap. What you guys on the show next week? What'd you guys brew?
West Coast IPA.
Okay.
Both
Nice.
spots we dry hopped with New Zealand hops at the one at their facility and American varietals at ours.
Okay. Oh, the beer that you brewed with Beechwood that we tried, you said you kept the recipe the same. How different were the two beers?
So we think a lot of the difference came from they have a different dry hop temp and they do not recirc their dry hops.
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of noticed with Mosaic forward beers, which that was, that we get a little bit more of the dankness out of it
Okay.
than kind of the fruitiness. And so theirs seemed that it had a little bit more of that.
It was interesting because this past week we actually had another event down at Obi Noodle House, and when we did the first event at Beechwood, theirs was more fruity and ours was more dank. But then as 2 or 3 weeks went by, it flip flopped.
Interesting.
Like ours settled in, and theirs kind of got a little more bitter and on the dank side.
Right.
Yeah. So it was totally weird to see it change,
Evolve.
100. Yeah.
That's
totally
fun, though. That's
yeah,
super
exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
Living product, right?
Yeah.
Like, it
Yeah.
just changes all the time. That's
Yep.
a lot of fun. That's a good way to do it, too. Exact same recipe, because we've talked about that on the show for years, since the beginning. That those
Back in the day.
There are those brewers who will come in and they'll tell us everything about how they make every single beer. They don't care, because they know that everyone who tries to make
That's
it, it's
how we are.
going to be
Yeah.
different,
There's no
right?
way. There's
so
no way.
it's
Yeah.
fun, probably, as pro brewers to actually see that in action, right? You go, oh, shit, yeah, that's
and that
totally
was,
different.
honestly, the Beechwood beer was probably the first one that we've ever even done that way.
Most of the time,
it's usually
you just
something
get
completely
creative
different
and
at
mix
both
something
spots.
up. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah, that's cool. And the one you just did with Rip beer, same recipe in both locations, too?
same grain bill, but the hopping was different.
Okay.
And they can't can beer in their facility, and we did a canning run on ours.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be speaking with them next week, so hang in there for that. Thanks again to you guys for being in here.
That was great.
Anthony and Derek, I
Thanks for having
appreciate
us.
that.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Keep us in the loop as you grow, and keep making great beer. Do you guys send it up here to the Bay Area often, or do we just get lucky with you coming up here?
Occasionally.
Yeah.
There's a handful of accounts in the Bay Area.
All right. You keep us on your list, will you?
Absolutely.
I love your beer. I'd like to have it here more often. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
All right. Everybody, you can go to burgeonbeer.com and check it out, learn more about them. Sully, did you have fun on your first show back?
I mean, I was going to ask you how'd I do. Can I come back next time, or is this it? Was this like my audition? And
it was your audition.
I knew that going in here.
I did the same to Teresa, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. You passed.
I like the way you just said it in kind of like you passed, like maybe it didn't almost,
But
yeah.
it was a C+.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, you got a 61.
You were a solid B.
This is the Montessori school of,
Here's what
I aspire.
I actually just could tell you're still like, you got to feel your way back into that seat. Like, in other words,
I was feeling the seat earlier.
When you used to do the CBS with me, like, it's like you owned the place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
So
I mean,
you're
look,
just,
we didn't have a lot of guests because you couldn't get many, but back in the day.
Back in the day,
and this is their show. This is, I don't want to, talk.
There's a difference, which I think is fine, between Sully the guest and Sully the co-host.
Yeah, you got to kind of
which
hang
I like,
back.
by the way.
Yeah.
Which one?
In
Which
fact-
one do you like?
Well, okay.
Both of my children I love equally.
And including the one in the box in the ground.
That's right.
Okay, that's dark.
If there were not a difference, I would not have invited you to be a co-host. Because there is a difference.
Yeah.
And it's because of what you just said. Like, you understand that you're here to help with the facilitate.
Well, I
the
also,
interview.
honestly, I mean, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, placating me like that. But I actually was interested. I like people's stories, like how they got into this thing and how it's working for them.
Yeah.
We're all kind of in the same struggle and have the same successes in a lot of ways. But it's fun for me to like. I don't want to talk about my shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you'll be up like B+, A- by
Okay,
next
I hope
week.
so, Dad.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, your request for a raise has been denied until this happens. Yeah.
I'm in a probation period, is what you're saying? Like a 30-day probation period?
Yeah,
always.
Yeah, Sean, Teresa she'll be doing that spot this week.
Yeah. We're going to have you take a week off to think about what you've done.
Yeah. How you can improve.
And listen to the tapes.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks, everybody. JP, are you ready to make things happen?
Sure, man.
All right, we'll see you all next week. Thanks. Cheers.
Thank you to our show sponsor, More Beer. You can get absolutely everything you need to make great beer at home by going to morebeer.com. Our new friends from Burgeon Beer Company in Carlsbad, California, came in to chat about doing good things for beer as well as for the environment. Learn more about them at burgeonbeer.com. Merge your love of Disneyland with your lack of engaging podcasts and go to earsuppodcast.com as JP, Terrence, Bevo, and Taryn talk about all things Disneyland. Get on Twitter for some good beer insight and homebrew info and follow Nate Smith at Nathan Homebrew, Mike McDowell at Tasty McD. Warren is stuck over at Another Beardy. JP knows Twitter is dead, so he's on Instagram at Major Jip, and you can find Bevo there as well at Beverly M. Moore. Be sure to find the Brewing Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
JP's an asshole. Justin's a nice guy and winning the race. JP does great as his charity